Hello and welcome to Flicks and Chill with me, Luke. Today I have a very special guest on my show. Jack is here. So Jack, why don't you take it away and please introduce yourself?
Yeah, name is Jack. I've been writing for Sif Pop for 3 or so years now. So if you read from the website or if you listen to any of those podcasts, you probably heard me bouncing around. But
Hmm.
this is my first time on this network here, so I'm very pleased with the opportunity. I was appreciative for the invite.
Not at all, not at all. Like we've actually met through Sitpop, and I actually recorded
Mhm.
a podcast with you. So
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
kind of, know you. Unlike some
Hmm.
other Sitpop folks who I have here, I never talked to before. We
Yeah.
actually shared an episode. We talked about some movies, and I
Hmm.
thought, okay, this guy sounds interesting. Like, I need to get him on the show, and like,
Yeah, yeah,
that's why
yeah.
you're here.
Hmm. Had a great
So,
time. We did
yeah,
Roberts.
yes, yes. No, it was good. It was, and we also did. Wait, wasn't it you who I did the battle royale with as well?
Oh yeah, we
So we did
we've hung around a
two.
bit. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Always a good time.
Yeah, no, same.
Hmm.
Likewise, likewise. So obviously you're a big movie fan. That's
Yeah.
why you're here. But
Hmm.
besides that, what, makes you you? What,
Hmm.
besides movies, what makes Jack Jack?
Okay. Good question. I would say as it stands right now, I very much identify obviously like my family are very important to me and my partner is important to me and everything like that.
Hmm.
But in terms of what I'm focused on right now, I've wanted to be a teacher for since I was 14 maybe, and I'm officially 25, going on 26, and
Wow.
starting my third year in the career. So that's something
Hmm.
that's been very important to me,
Hmm.
specifically as a man in like a modern setting, in terms like being some very controversial male role models right now.
Mm.
I've found myself like I landed where I am right at the right time, and I'm having a great time. What I would consider myself a positive male role model,
Hmm.
and I think that is what I really care about right now. Aside from movies, like I've been a big movie guy for as long as I can remember. My role model, aside from human beings, even more than many historical figures, has always been Spider-Man. It's just always been a character that I've like really, really resonated with.
Hmm.
Specifically reading those comics, going through high school, very much relating to that character. And then now I am a teacher, and there's been many alternate universes where they kind of extrapolate that Peter Parker becomes a teacher, specifically in a handful of like actual books
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So it's kind of just felt like I've had that connection my whole life. Really, really care for that character and comic books in general. That's kind of been my main hobby recently. Lots of comics. I read a lot of fantasy, all that kind of stuff, man. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. So you said, okay, a couple of interesting things. So first of all, you said you knew you wanted to be a teacher since you were
Yep.
14.
Yep.
How so? Like, what was that turning point, I guess? Like, that made you, what made that spark go, oh yeah, I need to be
Yep.
a teacher?
I was like 14 lands me right at freshman year of high school, and I did not know. It was kind of when that question first starts hitting you.
Hmm.
I didn't know what my plan was. I'd thrown a couple things out. I wanted like originally like my baby dream career was like veterinarian, and then I'm like, oh wait, but like I like the part where the animals feel better, not the part where I have to watch the animals not feel good.
Yeah.
And since then, not I'm a very squeamish guy. My partner, she's pursuing a doctorate in pharmacology, so she
Mm.
has to go through all those hospital rotations and nastiness. And
Hmm.
we watched The Pit, which is a great TV show about hospitals, and the visuals in that, that pushed me. So I couldn't do that. There was just some other stuff that bounced around, and then a mentor kind of came into my life. There was a male teacher of mine. Shout out Mr. Lynx, who very much was influential on me. And then I had another teacher, Miss Crawford, who was taught a program about becoming teachers. It's called Teacher Academy, where I'm from. And they popped into my like advisory or my homeroom, and basically like a couple of kids pitched that program. And even before I knew I wanted to be a teacher, it sounded like a worthwhile program to me because they really focused on how it helped with like public speaking and stuff like that, like those principles that are important to the career, but also can kind of transfer throughout your life.
Hmm.
And they sold me there. Like for a minute there, it seemed like my entire purpose was just to duplicate Mr. Lynx. Like I was kind of forcing things. Like he was a biology teacher, and I'm like, okay, so I should be a biology teacher, even though that field means very little to me, and I don't have that personal attachment to it.
Hmm.
And so eventually, I kind of found my own path, and I do family and consumer science now, which is a very umbrella term for teachers who teach accounting, life skills, nutrition, foods, anything like that. Like very much like a life skills teacher, which is exactly what I wanted to do. Like if I
Hmm.
had I like my job a lot right now. I'm a culinary teacher. It was the first day of school today. I'm repping my culinary teacher shirt, which is like a Hawaiian shirt with plenty of different vegetables and fruits that I found at the Gap.
Yeah, very
Um,
colorful, I must
yeah.
say.
Yeah. So I like my job as a culinary teacher, but
Hmm.
definitely my main thing, like I said, in terms of mentorship, I want to one day just be like focused on careers, like helping students find where they can potentially kind of contribute there. And that's
Hmm.
just what I found to be the most like valuable and meaningful thing to me. It obviously never been about money. I'm not gonna shy away. I do love myself a summer break, but
Yeah.
even that becomes a drop in the bucket when you realize how exhausting the job is. But yeah, I think that was kind of where you could trace it back to.
Okay.
Hmm.
See, to me, what you described, so like you're teaching quote unquote life skills,
Yeah.
is that common in America? Because where I come
Mm.
from, we did not get class like that. We never had class like that. We had in our primary school, we had some like cooking class for like 1 year.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it, but nothing that would, teach us like accounting or like budgets and all that. So is that
Yeah.
something new, and is it something just in your state, or is it just all over the like the good old United States of America?
Yep. So I think a lot of people probably, if you have heard of this field, you would have heard of it as like econ or home economics or home ec.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's basically it's like home ec has evolved past this program that was like designed to force women to become like
Mhm.
housewives, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of what does that topic mean if we take the good parts and make it apply to everybody because we all should be able to apply to our or apply those skills in a daily life.
Hmm.
It is kind of one of those things that funding fluctuates depending on the current administration.
Would imagine, yeah.
Um, and like without like showing my political leanings,
Hmm.
I really don't mind. Like am personally left leaning, maybe more than that. But like they're not bad about it if we have like a Republican government because like they do want kids to be prepared for life. Like when
Hmm.
you get this job, the first thing every single person says to you when you tell them what you do is, "I wish I had that growing up,"
Hmm.
or "Kids don't get that enough these days," like that kind of thing. So I think it is something that is has a level of like bipartisan support to the point where it has become more pervasive like throughout the country. Definitely you're going to see it a little bit more in kind of blue states. But
Hmm.
that's more because education in general is well funded, more well funded in those areas than it is like Republicans not liking the program. Like I think um, the red states can be underfunded just because the schools are underfunded.
Hmm.
And it's just kind of become more of a popular thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's also like it's in a really interesting spot right now because like I said, it has evolved from home ec, and home ec was a relatively common thing within like 80s, 90s kind of thing. Like it was still home ec. Like
Hmm.
your assignments were cooking, were like prepare like carrying around the fake baby or like a box of or a bag of flour that's supposed to be your child or whatever. And many of those teachers, just based off like the longevity of a teaching career, are still like are only now retiring, which is kind of leading to like this new like ushering in of like a kind of redefining what the field is. Like
Mhm.
as the kind of older people retire, we can kind of start to re-understand or reevaluate what we can do with the class. So,
Yeah. See, the bag of flour, pretending that that is your kid and need to take
mm,
care of it. I
yep,
only know of it because of certain American sitcoms from like
yep,
mainland 90s, but it was always an egg. Like you need to take care of
yeah.
this egg for like a
Egg, absolutely.
week. Have
Hmm.
you ever done this? Like not as a teacher, I mean like as a student.
They did not have that in any of the classes that I took. I
Mm,
before I started teaching, there was one year I took like a gap year in my studies and I was a
mm,
substitute teacher and the classes that I or the schools that I subbed at, they that was the first time I saw it in person.
mm,
It's I didn't get to do it. I don't think I'll have my students do it if I can. I don't know. There's some benefits to it, but it's a little bit goofy. Like the
yeah.
issue is, as a high school teacher is very much like how creative can I get with my instruction and with my activities before it becomes kind of like a joke or a meme or they
Hmm.
don't take it seriously. Like
Yeah.
if who students actually did look at that egg as if it was a child they should protect, it could potentially be good, but you have to really innovate now, especially like kids these days are more creative
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
mischievous than ever. So, and I enjoy working with students, and it's one of the best part of the job. But
Hmm.
they definitely keep you on your toes.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I feel like the teaching is one of those professions I feel like I could do in a
Mm,
way, but at the same time, I remember me how I was
mm,
throughout primary school and high school,
yep.
aka being a little shit.
Hmm.
And I remember then visiting that said high school years after,
Yep.
and one of my teachers told us, like there was a bunch of us visiting, and I quote, "We thought you guys were bad. What came
Mm,
after you is absolute,
mm,
like insane bullshit. Like you
yep.
guys were golden. Like this new generation is, and it's not even like couple. We are not even that far removed.
Yep.
So, but you said you've only been teaching for 3 years. Am I
Yeah.
correct?
This
So,
is the start of my third
yeah.
year.
So I guess you don't really have that like a reference point. Like oh, 10 years ago it used to be like this.
I would
Yeah.
say, yeah, I do agree. I think the dividing line is like it can be overstated to a certain extent the effect that the pandemic has had on our culture, but
Hmm.
specifically the behavior of students. What you can expect is very much influenced by like how old were they when the pandemic hit,
Ah.
and the kind of the impact it's had on like social situations and
Hmm.
stunted growth and stuff like that. Has been really, really interesting to see this year specifically. Like if you know me, like I am the last person to say like our culture has gotten too sensitive. Like I really,
Hmm.
I think like, hey, we should be accommodating for the people around us and everything like that. But there are some instances where you can overcorrect that, and specifically, like I feel like we do baby high schoolers a little bit too much,
Okay.
specifically in terms of like social situations. Like I would identify as somebody who has social anxiety and like
Hmm.
to a certain extent. And I mean, I do podcasts because I think it's fun. Like, I don't really think about the fact that people might listen to this. Like, I just chat with my friends, but
Hmm.
I teach every day. I'm in front of like 30 students, like public speaking.
Hmm.
Um, and like, you do sometimes you have to do that. And the tendency for teachers, I mean, what I was doing for the past couple of years and what I've seen other teachers do to like underestimate what their students can do and not push them to be social.
Hmm.
I think that's something that I'm really focusing on this year because I think those are skills that students are lacking right now. So really pushing my students to do those presentations in my class, not because I'm a culinary teacher.
Hmm.
I want them to present on the different heating methods, not because that's going to be the most relevant thing to their life, but the skill of presenting is something that is universally useful,
Yeah.
and is something that like it just it when you do something as drastic like one-on-one conversations are hard in social situations, but jumping above that and presenting information
Hmm.
makes those lower stakes conversations a little bit easier.
Hmm.
And so yeah, like I have every intention this year of like making my students like talk. Like we're doing assigned seats not because the students are too crazy, but like I want you to learn how to talk to somebody you've never met before.
Hmm.
And like it's just like that kind of thing because like myself, like I have some shortcomings there too, but it's only going to get worse if we continue to like to fold for them. So, yeah.
No, I 100% agree. Like, I think I'm in the same boat. I'm definitely, well, I'm not American, so I cannot,
Yeah.
say, oh, I'm a left lean, but yeah, I'm definitely left leaning,
Hmm.
100%. Like, I'm not on the side of Donald Trump. That's,
Hmm. Yep.
yeah, no.
Hmm.
But where, like, but I also think, there's definitely a space where, especially like a school, where
Hmm.
kids or teenagers are in a safe environment, and
Yep.
therefore, within obviously some reason, should be pushed to, outside, oh yeah,
Yep.
public speaking, yes, it's terrifying. We all hate it.
Yeah. Hmm.
But it needs to be done because it
Yep.
does benefit you. Oh yeah, this situation makes you uncomfortable because of, but again, you're in a class. Like, like
Yep.
nothing bad is gonna happen,
Yep.
So I do understand what do you mean. So
Yep.
I know this is gonna be very US centric,
Yeah.
the question I'm gonna ask. But
Hmm.
if I'm not remembering, or if I'm not forgetting anybody, you're the
Yep.
second teacher I heard on my podcast because Foster, also
Yeah.
sit for,
Yep.
right there. He's also a teacher, but in New
Hmm.
York. I
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think I asked where are you actually based?
I am in Lexington, Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Kentucky right now. Yeah.
Ooh,
Grew up in
okay.
Ohio and moved hour and a
Mm-hmm.
half away for
Mm-hmm.
college and then stayed around for school
Yeah.
or to teach, I guess. Yeah.
So I will ask you the same question I asked Foster. So if it
Yeah.
was just up to you, you
Hmm.
know, and obviously it's gonna be, I would imagine it's gonna be an interesting answer because Foster is based in New York, you're in
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Yep.
What is the one single biggest quote unquote, not even quote unquote, problem you see with teenagers, obviously high schoolers right now that needs to
Hmm.
be fixed, and how would you go about it?
Yeah, the one it's one single word.
Mm-hmm.
I work at a high school that is considered like all of those buzzwords kind of frustrate me to some extent, but I work in a city school with a very diverse population, and so
Mm-hmm.
like and the school specifically has a bad rap from
Mm-hmm.
years past that still kind of are pervasive in the city. Like when I tell people where I work, they're like, "Oh, do you carry a gun to school to protect?" Like just like ridiculous stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
The main issue is apathy, fully apathetic teenagers, and it's something that like you can't even hold against them to a certain extent. Like all of these kids obviously grew up on the internet, which has its pros, has its cons. Like I think a lot of like I grew a lot with my parents, but I don't think I would have the same political beliefs I do if it weren't for like some of the random people I found on YouTube who became like my
Mm-hmm.
like comedic role models in certain extents. But like so these students grew up on the internet more so even than I have, and it's like the buzzword, but like doom scrolling. Like that's all you
Yeah.
can do. And when you're so painfully aware of the issues around you that are fully and entirely out of your control, it can be challenging for some students to like buy into life.
Yeah, like why should I care, right?
Yeah, and so that has very much been the issue. And I think the way that I have been addressing, like I said, like it's socialization. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because like I think the part that makes it so overwhelming and overbearing is the fact that you feel like you have no control.
Mm-hmm.
So like we mentioned, I wasn't out there hyped at
Mm-hmm.
the results of the previous election. And I was down for a minute because it was like, okay, we've lost, but like, what can I do? And so
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I realized like I do have like it was the next day
Yeah.
I was like some students were talking about it, that a kid whose parent probably voted for this current president, and he said this like 15-year-old, he said, I remember when gas prices were like $1. And I'm like, you don't know. uh, Are you, where are you from? Because I have never ever seen that. Like I've seen it hit almost maybe $2, but like
Mm-hmm.
my entire life it's been like 250 or up. So like the fact that I can have productive conversations, and I don't want anybody to hear this and think that I press political agenda on my students. You can ask any
Hmm.
of my students. I don't tell them who I voted for. Like I'm very, very like I wish I could be more open or spoken about it because I know other teachers who are tenured at my school do it.
Hmm.
But I am careful. I don't want them to think that I'm like brainwashing their children. But the fact that I can like model even little things as like being respectful towards women, like treating female students the same as male students, like cooperating with like having just normal conversation. Like the fact that it's the bar is this low is tragic, but like treating my female coworkers with respect and stuff like that, like when the fight is against these figures like Andrew Tate and stuff like that, I do feel like I can have some influence on there just by being a decent dude in
Hmm.
front of young teenage boys who are maybe like the most prescient impending crisis that we have right now. Like
Yep.
the at least in the US, like the I'm not sure how much that travels around, but like the way online politicians have targeted young teenage boys is brutal.
Hmm.
So like bringing that back to what you asked is like how do I address the problem of apathy? Having students just feel more involved in their community, getting them to and like they're like I don't want you to assume like I walk in and it's like 1984 and it's just like gray drab
Hmm.
environment. Like my students are like I'm shocked by how positive and how community focused they already are, but there's definitely some stuff that you can still help.
Hmm.
And as soon as they like get more involved in their community and like and learn about the people around them and respect, like I specifically teaching about cultures for food, I think is just a really good analogy, just like respecting other people's opinions for food and learning how much of what we assume or what we know of food is like based on bias and racism or ignorance
Hmm.
is just a very good stepping stone for students to kind of learn that empathy across the board.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I've noticed one thing, and especially
Yep.
about America, right?
Yep.
So I know from statistics, and we're just gonna speak statistics, but they
Yep.
obviously reflect some patterns and some, swings and, valleys.
Hmm.
So I know atheism is still kind of on the rise in America. So, like,
Okay.
there's more atheist people than ever, pretty much.
Hmm.
However, apparently in the last couple of years, especially amongst young people, I don't know if especially young men, but the young people, like Gen Z,
Hmm.
there seems to be an uptick about, oh yeah, suddenly there's this like generation that's kind of religious. And I
Interesting.
never understood that until you kind of connected this one dot for me. The good thing about any religion, whether it's Christianity, whether it's Buddhism, whether it's Islam, whatever, it's that community.
Yep.
And I think and I think that it's clicked that maybe part of that, or a big part of that, in my eyes, would be young people are not necessarily more religious all of a
Hmm.
sudden. They are just looking for that sense of community because, like,
Yeah.
they've been brought up in this world where, yeah, COVID happened, everybody
Hmm.
was shielding, like,
Yep.
and it's hard to build some sort of connection, some sort of meaningful relationships. And I
Hmm.
guess that's the easiest thing to do is, oh yeah, let's go to church. Let's see what's
Yeah.
that about. And okay. So I just
Definitely. I mean,
wondered how that's gonna play out.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's ultimately wherever you find your community with the make or break moment is going to be is that community focused on uh like empathy and
Hmm.
expanding and everything like that, or is it exclusionary?
Hmm.
And I think that's going to be kind of how we grow. And I think teachers, I think we just play a huge role in that.
Hmm.
And the really, really challenging part of being a younger teacher who is passionate about politics and just basic human rights and stuff like that is figuring out how to role model that those emotions and that perspective without overstepping boundaries
Hmm.
because I don't I don't feel comfortable. I mean, I shouldn't. I'm not allowed to, or not supposed to, or whatever. Talk explicitly about politics,
Hmm.
specifically because it's just not necessarily relevant to my coursework. But it's tough, man. Like being a white teacher at a school that is predominantly minorities,
Hmm.
without and like not being allowed to vocalize certain things is tough because I don't want my students to think that because I'm a white guy I voted for Trump, but the
Hmm.
numbers are not in my field,
Yeah.
and I'm not really allowed to communicate that. So it's like I have to mirror or show or model these skills or these values without telling them where like what my background is. So
Hmm.
like even if I look like I'm being like a good guy who treats women well, it's like what if they just assume I'm a Trump guy and so
Hmm.
they already don't even like that, so that kind of thing. Like it's probably less like something that's it's actively in my students' minds and more something that I care about.
Hmm.
Um but it is something like it's why I'm still in my career field for sure,
Yeah.
is because like I think that you can model universally good skills and lead to a potentially better community because of it.
Hmm. No, that is sensible. And I never actually considered how teachers, especially like, primary school, high school, shouldn't talk politics, even though high school, I feel like you're almost, that's kind of, I would say that's more up for grabs, quote unquote,
Yep.
in a sense where you're dealing with almost adults based on how
Mm.
old is, your classes.
Yep.
Like I don't know how old, is the class you teach, but like if
Yep.
they are like 16, 17,
Mm.
I don't think there would be any quote unquote grooming going on in a sense
Yep.
where if you express, oh yeah, I wouldn't have I never voted for him. Here A, B, and C. I don't think that's any
Hmm.
brainwashing.
Yeah, and I don't like probably if I told my students just like flat out as a statement that I did not vote for Trump, I probably wouldn't get in trouble. Like I even if I pushed a little bit further, I probably wouldn't, but like it's
Mhm.
you definitely have to be concerned about that kind of thing with like the parent climate right now. Like
All it
um
takes is one parent in it. Like
yeah.
all it takes is just one complaint.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
like, it's the same thing with like banned books and stuff like that. Like it is like I am very much of the opinion that like we should be able to have these conversations.
Hmm.
Um we any book should be allowed in our library. Like I think that is the case, but uh, sometimes my personal opinion can I have to check that. I have to be a professional because so I don't lose my job. Um
Have you
and
had that
I
happen
like
at your school, by the way? Like any books being removed?
Not that I'm specifically aware of. Like I'm
Okay.
sure that there have like we've been affected by it to some extent, but yeah, I'm not like there hasn't been any like specific controversies
Hmm.
or conversations that we have had about that. So who knows?
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. No, this has been interesting because yeah, like to me, teacher is such a hard profession,
Mm,
such a ungrateful profession to an extent.
mm,
Like, because people always presume, oh yeah, easy job, great
yeah.
money, you get summer off.
Mm,
why do you always complain? Why do
yeah.
and it's just the amount of prep that goes into it and
Yeah.
the care if you
Mm,
actually do it properly, and yeah, you definitely can influence literal people's lives because, like,
yeah.
you know it yourself, I know it. There's nothing better or worse than having a great teacher or a bad teacher. Like,
Definitely.
that can, shift you both ways.
Yep.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
no.
Yep.
So you mentioned you're in Kentucky.
Yep.
So if I were to ask you, Jack, hey,
Yep.
I'm coming there for a week, for a 1 week holiday, right?
Mm,
And so where would you recommend me to go? Where do we go and eat?
okay.
What's something that's just in your area, for example, that is not anywhere in America that's like, oh, this is very unique to us.
Okay. So specifically the city that I'm in, a lot of our tourism, a lot of our culture here is horses, surprisingly.
Mm,
Like I've heard like we've been like thrown around as like the horse capital of the world or whatever. Like we just like I think if you're interested in that, interested in derbies or anything, like we have ours is called Keeneland.
mm,
Draws a huge
mm-hmm,
crowd every year, just a bunch of like random people in crazy hats. Like I think that could potentially be interesting to some people. I have no interest in horses, so
Hmm.
even that I wouldn't like strongly recommend. I did I so I am from like around Cincinnati, Ohio area originally. So kind of cheating, but this cuisine has migrated to the point where I'm about an hour and a half away from where I grew up,
Hmm.
and this restaurant specifically, has followed and officially evolved and is now in Lexington, and that's some Skyline chili, man. I don't know if Skyline chili has transcended the seas yet.
No, not yet.
It is so. Do you have any idea what it is?
No, I know what Chile is, but I don't
Okay.
know Skyline. Like that doesn't ring any bells. No.
It's controversial to say the least.
Oh, okay.
So it's a chain restaurant
Hmm.
that started in Cincinnati. It's like a very Ohio thing.
Hmm.
And it's the main thing that they have is like hot dog like conies, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
but to call it chili is somewhat controversial for many people because I don't know if it is technically chili. It is like a very it's a meat sauce, no vegetables in it. It's a very like specific thing. I think it had like I don't know, maybe it's like a this is a myth, but like I think it has like chocolate and cinnamon in it. It is
Hmm.
very, very specific. And I grew up on it and I absolutely love it. Like you are either it's ride or die. Like some people love it, some people hate it. There's two like warring brands. You have Gold Star, you have Skyline.
Hmm.
And if you buy into the fight, it's like a turf war.
So
They
your team
always
Skyline.
I'm super team
Okay,
Skyline.
okay.
Like unapologetically. There's like back where I'm from, where they're a little bit more common, like genuinely they are oftentimes parked on like rivaling corners. Like they are always like right across the street from each other
Hmm.
and just like waiting for some kind of a fallout. But
Hmm.
that would be a recommendation. I cannot promise that you'll like it. Like my girlfriend, she is from Kentucky, a little bit more south.
Hmm.
And so we kind of like met in the middle when we ended up landing in Lexington, and they don't have Skyline Chili where she's from. And I've taken her there a couple times, and she's like, "You can do this one. You should have Skyline when I am out of town," because she's not as much of a fan of it. She has her moments where she's like, "Oh, that sounds kind of good," but it's
Hmm.
like it almost courses through some people's veins, myself included. So
Okay, okay.
it's interesting.
And is there any, let's say, like sightseeing in Lexington that's uh for maybe good, maybe bad reasons worth seeing?
Sightseeing. I mean, yeah, definitely. I think people would say Keeneland, the racetrack,
Hmm.
is kind of that main draw.
Hmm.
We have a nothing else. Like we're it's an interesting kind of it is technically a city, but like a huge area of suburbs surrounding it. So
Hmm.
like we're like just a bunch of like little neighborhoods tucked in and like there's like kind of a downtown, but not really. And so there's nothing too crazy that I can think of. Like I have to drive for like a good drive-in. They're
Hmm.
probably like an hour and a half away from any good like amusement parks. Like we have like a county fair here, or like a maybe like a I don't it might be a state fair. I don't know. A pretty big fair that's here every now and then. We have a decent mall in an era where malls are kind of dying out. Like we have one that's still holding pretty strong.
Hmm.
That would probably be worth dropping by. But aside from that, no, like I can't really think of anything that is a must see. Like I like the city. I don't love the city. I
Yeah.
could see us moving within the future.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, so okay, let me ask you this.
Yep.
Let's say money is not an object.
Yep.
If you could, you have like free range. Do you have a dream place? It's like, oh yeah, not for a holiday, but this is where I would like to go and, move and actually live.
Man, I don't know. I think I would the main thing I don't really have a specific place, but like weather is probably the biggest thing for me.
Hmm.
Like I could not move to like Florida. Like I go there on trips occasionally, but like that feeling where you like I just remember like growing up we would drive down there
Hmm.
and you would get out of the car and you would just like feel the humidity, feel the air on your
Yep.
body. And that made like I think that's where my slight claustrophobia comes from. Like I just cannot have that vibe. Somewhere that's just a little bit cooler year round, like one of the Carolinas maybe, but hopefully somewhere that's a little bit more blue
Hmm.
state-wise. Um,
Because
Teacher
Kentucky is
pay.
pretty red state, isn't it?
Yeah, Lexington
Yeah.
is one of those like I think we leaned to the left, but as as a state, yeah, definitely.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, Definitely you would consider it like south.
Yeah.
So yeah.
For some reason, the name Lexington rings a vague bell, and I want to say, is that a town or a city that has some sort of Confederate statue still there, and it's kind of a crazy one? Is it
There
possible?
maybe, I don't know. I do know there's a high school called Henry Clay High School. And this guy, Henry Clay, is like a big figure in Kentucky.
Mm.
He's a lot of stuff is named after him. And
Hmm.
that guy like definitely owned a bunch of slaves. And so like it specifically when you live in a city
Hmm.
like city, a diverse population, lots of like African American people, insane to make them go to a high school that is named after a slave owner. Like,
Hmm.
um, so that there's it wouldn't surprise me if there's some kind of controversy around that, but um, yeah, nothing puts us on the map in a big way.
Hmm.
We're like a larger city in Kentucky, but like maybe like fourth or fifth. I don't know.
Yeah. No, because like I didn't know where you from,
Yeah,
but I like when the moment you said Lexington, I'm like,
yeah.
why does this ring like I definitely seen like a news report about Lexington.
Mm,
And the only place I can think of is like John Oliver when he was doing a piece of like a Confederacy and like
mm.
statues and all that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that kind of rings a weak bell, but I don't know. Like I wouldn't bet my life on it. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like I was like Kentucky, Red State. I think it's probably a safe bet. They still have some statues there that probably shouldn't be there. Should be in
Yep.
a museum. I'm
Hmm.
not. I do not want to destroy them. I don't think
Yep.
anybody wants to destroy them. I think should be put in a museum surrounded by
Yeah.
a lot of historical context.
Yep.
That
Definitely.
would probably help. But
Yep.
yeah,
I agree.
okay, so Skyline Chile. All right, if I'm ever there,
Hmm.
I need to check it out because that sounds very interesting. So
Yep.
chili that's just pure meat sauce, no veggies.
Pretty much. Yeah. Like it's just, yeah, just, I don't even know how they make it. For all I know,
It's
it's naturally
magic.
occurring somewhere, but yeah, they just found like a geyser.
Okay, I think then we can move to the this or that game where I'll
Yeah.
ask you or give you two options and you tell me which
Hmm.
one would you prefer and why.
Okay.
So Jack, iOS or Android?
I actually had an iPhone for 15 years, but like my entire life, and just this year I bought a Pixel. I got the
Oh,
Pixel Pro Fold. So
oh, the
just wanted,
fold.
yeah.
Nice.
Um, it's a bit of a gimmick phone. Like you can, I would definitely would not recommend it to everybody. Like you can tell this is technology that is being worked on. Like there are
Yep.
more glitches than you would like. I think of like iPhone, like almost like when I think of like Nintendo, like when you think about video games, you think of like the big ones like Call of Duty and stuff like that have so
Mhm.
many glitches, but there aren't many like glitch like when a Nintendo game comes out you can expect like it'll be pretty crisp. I
Yeah.
think that for the most part with iPhone, there's definitely some glaring exceptions where they've made mistakes, but like you have a pretty consistent thing you can expect. There are like there's a lot of stuff that's super innovative about this phone, and as somebody who like reads a lot of digital comics, like I love it. As a teacher, the fact that you can like have two tabs open at the same time has been really, really useful for many different things.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'll keep this one for a couple years, maybe, and maybe I'll try Android. Like, I'm no longer super committed to brands because one of my favorite things with iPhone for so long was like getting the new iPhone. Like, I was very much a part of that crowd, and like
Hmm.
I was so excited to try all the new little features, and it
Hmm.
just became so stagnant that I wanted to get that feeling again. So I'm now more of like try something new, man.
So is that what prompted the change from, iOS to Android? That you wanted to
Uh,
try something new?
Yeah, I wanted to try a different fun phone where I would be challenged. I think my girlfriend put it like in a really interesting way too. Like she still has an iPhone and
Hmm.
she's like, when I look at my phone, I am like inside the phone. Like I just feel so like familiar with the ecosystem that like I just feel like I get lost in it. But when you have like a brand new system, you can really tell that you're using technology, which is like it makes it less addicting to a certain extent. Like
Hmm.
you very much feel like you are using a piece of utility.
Hmm.
And so like yeah, like I find myself like taking breaks more frequently too.
Okay, interesting. How do you
Yeah.
like your fold besides the occasional glitches?
Yeah, I do. I like it a lot. And the main thing that like I love reading comic books on it. Just like the accessibility, the yeah, it's really really cool.
Hmm.
Definitely like I would have like a laundry list of things I would suggest them to change in future um updates, but like nothing that has made me want to get an iPhone again. Like I've
Yeah.
been very happy with the change. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So, TV shows or movies?
Movies.
Yeah.
I used to like probably when I first really got into the scene, like I was very TV show oriented, but I recently have fallen off it. Like it takes something pretty either like relevant to me or easy to watch or like I really don't watch much TV unless I'm like watching a big series with like my partner, like just to chill. So
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah,
That's
fell
fair.
off of that.
Tea or coffee?
I don't do coffee at all. I do like tea.
Okay.
I recently like that was one I took that up as a hobby last year.
Hmm.
So yeah, we've been doing a lot of tea. Mix it up a little bit. Like I like trying all the different flavors and stuff like that. Really easy. Like it also has just helped me like doing like less soda.
Hmm.
So yeah, definitely tea.
What's your current favorite? Like, do you have a preference like green tea, black tea, any specific brand?
I love chai.
Okay.
I don't really have a preference of brand. Uh, normal. I like green, I would say.
Hmm.
Would be probably my go-to otherwise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sensible.
Mm.
Sensible. Money or free time?
Mm, maybe right now I'm probably more of a like give me some cash, man. Like
Yeah.
fresh out of college, fully living paying all those bills and stuff like that. Like I work two jobs right now, so having the money would allow me to have a little bit more free time. So, I think sometimes a little bit of money can buy you some happiness. Like
Hmm.
I'm not gonna go one way. Like I'm not super anti that or for
Hmm.
it. Like I think a good amount of money can definitely make your life a little easier. So yeah,
100%.
yeah,
100%.
yep.
Honesty or other people's feelings?
Um, I would say other people's feelings because I don't think that necessarily excludes honesty.
Hmm.
I think like a really important part of like learning how to communicate with people is knowing what to say and what not to say. Like
Hmm.
universal, just saying the first thing that comes to your mind is just never going to be the move for me. And I think a lot of times people who really who say like I'm I'm just blunt. Like I tell it how it is. I think that's
Hmm.
kind of an excuse to just be a mean person most of the time. Like
Hmm.
anybody can be blunt, dude. It's just like it's just rude. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Summer or winter?
Um, man, probably summer. I really don't like, well, man, that is tough. I This year we kind of we have a pool at our apartment. I use the pool a little bit more. I liked that. I
Hmm.
don't like insane heat, but
Hmm.
I really, really don't like super cold. This summer specifically tested me. I'm like, yeah, this is a little bit hotter than I'd like. Yeah, I would say like weather-wise, I'd probably lean summer, but vibes and culture-wise, I do like the Christmas kind of holiday energy, a lot of like the um that stuff. Yeah, I think I enjoy that.
Okay. Okay. Uh, Probably the most important question of all, ninjas or pirates?
Hmm. Uh, I'd probably go. pirates because I'm a big fantasy guy. And I think that's more adjacent to like the books that I would read. Like I like a good pirate story every now and then.
Hmm.
Ninjas, they're cool, but not necessarily as prevalent in the media I do.
Hmm. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the last question,
Mhm.
free will or destiny?
Yeah, I think a big free will guy. I would say, yeah. I mean, I think you can kind of make the choice at any point. I think there's like less than like destiny. I think there's things that happen before you were born that impact what
Hmm.
you can achieve, but I don't think there's like a guaranteed end point. I think it kind of like there's stuff that's been limited, but you can decide. You can make decisions. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds very sensible. So, you don't believe you're on one path and you're always meant to be a teacher.
No, no, I don't think that. I think I have a skill set that really lends me to this. I think right now it's very meaningful to me, but I wouldn't feel like I'm betraying a part of myself if
Hmm.
one day I decided that I wanted to try something different.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's good.
Yep.
And before we move to the flex part of this podcast, do
Mhm.
you have any hot takes or controversial opinions you would like to share with us?
Okay. I've tried to think about, I mean, my brain really gravitates towards movies and stuff like that or
Hmm.
comics, but
Hmm.
I'll keep that for later discussions.
Hmm.
Um Video games is another thing that I care about and specifically I grew up on. But recently I've had a harder time really connecting with video games. Do you play any games? Is that part of your life at all?
I used to be a gamer, but
Yeah.
now, like, basically, I invest all my time in TV shows or mainly movies, really. But yeah,
Yep.
because I feel like there's not enough time in a day. Like, so I
Yeah.
played quite a few games
Definitely.
in my life, but
Hmm.
like not the last 2 3 years. Besides chess, that's the
Yep.
only game I play.
Okay, so here is my big issue with like the modern video game landscape. And this is
Hmm.
a direct evolution of obviously like online and like YouTube culture and all these personalities. Um, Games, the the focus on optimizing everything to like 100% has sucked the fun out of games to such an extent for me.
Hmm.
It like so like the easiest example is basically like any first person shooter. This 100% existed to some extent when I grew up playing games. Like I remember when I was playing some of the earlier Call of Duties, specifically like Ghosts into Black Ops 2, in like 2012, 2013. That was when YouTube was first starting to have like that really big gaming bump.
Hmm.
I definitely watched a handful of videos that were like, look at this cool spot, or like, this is the gun you should be using. But like, I still felt really interested in like trying new things, different variety. I didn't feel like if I didn't use the best possible weapon or the best possible thing, that I would be like at a huge disadvantage. Nowadays, like it is just down to a science. Like every game has like a spreadsheet that everybody's looked at, and it's either like you do that and like follow the status quo, or you have to be exceptionally good, and use stuff that's like a little bit worse just for fun or variety. It's just everything feels cookie cutter. There's just like the word meta. Everything's got a meta nowadays. You
Hmm.
gotta play a character the exact right way, or you're wasting everybody's time. Like the like just like pressure, like Overwatch or Marvel Rivals or any of those games. Like if you get a character and you do something that's not on the spreadsheet, you're getting cooked in game chat. And I'm like, dude, I'm a teacher. I come home, I play like 1 or 2 matches a day. I can't. I just want to be Iron Man for a second.
Yeah.
I'm not like I know I'm not using my ultimate in the exact right situation. It's just like grinding for certain things is such a chore. Um, I don't know. Like it really it's multiplayer games. It's a big thing. Like if you try to play Call of Duty or anything like that, Overwatch, like you are at a severe disadvantage if you don't spend the night Googling stuff. But like the fact that it's even bled into like single player games, has been kind of tragic. Like there's you go for the right gun, or you go to this place within the first 10 minutes of your playthrough and use this gun the entire time. It's been kind of tough. I mean, I think optimization is like it's part of like all of the culture at this point now. Like it's like you people watch stuff at 2 times speed. I'm a victim or a perpetrator of that. Like movies, like everybody's like more focused on bumping up their like letterbox numbers a lot of times than they are like actually just like watching the movies they want to watch.
Hmm.
It's just optimization is taken so much of the fun, and unfortunately, I don't like pointing out a problem without like a solution. But you, for video games at least, you can't walk that back. It's just how things work now.
Hmm.
And unless everybody who plays the game really buys into it, it's just the way the culture is at the moment. So yeah.
Yeah. I thought you're gonna bring up the fact that even single player games need to be online for reasons.
Yeah, no, that sucks too. Yeah.
Or like loot boxes, and because yeah, again, like I'm not a gamer now at least, but I know, I still follow some, gaming news and all that, and I know that many people hate that even the loot box market, like in a way, like many games became like pay to win, rather
Hmm.
than, oh yeah, you need to just be good. Oh no,
Yep.
nowadays you can just pay and like, oh yeah, you can level up or you can buy this
Hmm.
great gear that actually gives you like edge or something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's part of it too, right? Like many times this optimization thing, like the best gun that everybody is using is like you either have to spend 300 hours working for it or you can just pay $10 for it.
Hmm.
They will go hand in hand, absolutely. There's plenty of instances where it's just like, okay, like, dang, I guess I'm just gonna lose this gunfight because the dude paid more money than me. Like it 100% happens, but I think that is a natural evolution of like this optimization thing too. Like those just went hand in hand, and it's just like it's just so it takes the fun out of it. It takes the creativity out of it. Yeah, it's kind of just pushed me away from the hobby towards other things that are more individual or personal.
No,
So,
I totally believe it. It sucks because it's just so unnecessary.
mhm.
Like, but at the same time, as you said, many people like it,
Mhm.
or I guess is that even the case though? Or is it just more people are willing to tolerate it? That
Dude,
would be my question.
yeah, I mean, and even like it's just like the point where people cheat too. It's like, what do you get out of winning a video game match because you have cheats on? Like, it's just it's a part of humanity that I don't fully understand. I guess I
Hmm.
mean there was a time in my life where I was really plugged in, and so I did like pay attention. Like it was a little bit easier for me to pay attention to what was going on, so I didn't hate it as much. But like it just is, it really saps the fun from it, unfortunately, the new kind of
Hmm.
culture around it.
Yeah, no, I get you. I get you.
Yeah.
So, is that because of this, slowly gaming, like, gaming less, or is that, something that is like, you know what, it's not gonna be as big of a part of my life anymore?
I think it's pushed me, like there are, I think the games that are less, it just pushes you towards games that are less popular or less like online focused or more story based or anything like that. Like I still play a decent amount of games and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm just very intentional for myself, like about like when I do pick up the big game that has come out, I'm just specifically like you can do it with single player games. Like I'm just not looking stuff up. Like I want to experience this how it's supposed to be experienced. Like it's the same thing. Like looking up like what's the best gun to use in this single player game for me at this point is like the same as looking up like what is the big twist in this movie. Like
Hmm.
you just take away some of the like the personal buy
Enjoyment.
into it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. No, see, that was also one of my things, like, why I stopped. Because I
Hmm.
nowadays, like, games became so much bigger. So
Hmm.
even like, Tomb Raider,
Yeah,
the reboot, I actually managed to play all three of those, and
yeah.
I liked all three of those.
Hmm.
But for my completionist ass, to
Yeah.
actually do everything, even like the side task, the side
Yep.
quests, all that to get that 100%, right?
Hmm.
It can be like a proper 24 hours, like, just
Dude,
full on like net time
that's on
spent.
the dude, that's on like the low end.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
genuinely, like, yeah,
I know.
it's the completionist. Fortunately, I don't like I get that for specific games that I'm really passionate about, but I don't I'm at a point in my life where I'm like I'm down to just play the story, play the
Hmm.
game, do a little and I'll drop it like but I definitely like there are moments where I'm like, dang, there's something I want 100% this, but some of this stuff is insane. So,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Is there anything else, that you would like to discuss, or do you want to talk some movies?
No, I think that's the main thing. I think we talk about movie hot takes in a second. I got
Yeah,
one that
yes.
that's I think I like. It's a little bit different, so
All
I'll
right.
save that for then. Yeah.
Okay, so now this is the part of our podcast where we move to the flicks part of it, where we talk
Yep.
some movies. So, Jack, what is the last quote unquote new movie you would rate 5 out of 5? So anything 2020s.
So it's genuinely challenging. Like I don't rate many things 5 out of 5 stars. Most of the ones that I've given, it's just like it feels almost basic. Like I do tend to resonate. Like Sinners, I was astounded by like that would be up there. Everything Everywhere, that would be up. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
the easy answers. So I've honestly I've been toying with maybe I might start being a little bit more generous with those 5 out of 5 stars. Like if that movie really sticks with me, even if I have a little issue with it, man, like I think I might be there. So, and like examples that came to my mind, I might end up bumping 28 years later to 5 stars, even though the ending
Nice.
was a little bit jarring for me. I adore that movie. Like it's a special, special experience.
Mm,
Even but like going back, I recently saw After Sun,
that's a great one.
and that movie I gave it a 4.5 stars, but I'm like, what else do you want from that? Like that is
Mm-hmm.
just so singularly itself
Mm-hmm.
and it stuck with me and it resonated with me on such a deep level. Like even if there's like 1 minute where it like drags or something, like man, that's just part of the ride. Like
Yeah.
so I think I'm really starting to like so I'm saying this to say for anybody who ends up following me on Letterboxd and you see that After Sun might be at a 4.5, my mind's changing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
reevaluating what review means to me. So that yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I would
Yes.
say join us because if you go to my letterbox, you'll see I'm quite not conservative about like what I like. I like what I like, right?
Yeah.
But also like I've always ever since like I've been like cinephile for the last 20 years, really. Like
Yeah.
I've been on this journey where I'm trying to watch as many movies as I can, as many
Yeah.
different movies as I can, and you quickly realize if I were to do what many people are doing,
Uh-huh.
which is like, oh, I'll be sparing with my like
Yeah.
top rating because these are precious to me, you will underrate many great movies. So
Yeah.
I've tried what I've always tried to do is does this movie live up to what it was trying to achieve within its genre with everything that it had going for it? Like for example, if you go to my profile, you'll see, I don't know, I've probably gave like Scary Movie 5 out of 5.
Mm.
Is it the
Yep.
same five out of five I would give to Shawshank Redemption? Of course not, but it is.
Yeah.
Because again, these are different movies in a different category. One
Hmm.
is serious drama, one is crazy parody comedy,
Yeah.
but they both, to me, hit the spot what they meant to do, right?
Hmm.
And the moment I realized it when I was like 15, 16. And the moment I realized that kind of felt like freer in a way where I'm like, you know what? Worst case scenario, people will tell me I'm too meek, I'm too forgiving. Okay, I'll live with
Hmm.
that. That's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. I'll just, I love what I love. And so,
Hmm.
like, many times when I finish a movie, I'm like, oh, this was a banger. And then I go to
Yep.
Letterboxd and everybody's like, 2.5, 3 stars, 2.5, 2 stars. And I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, maybe not such a banger for many people, but for me, it was a banger.
Yep. And I actually I like a lot of I like Letterboxd a lot, but I do think it has contributed to I get like gamifying or optimizing like a movie
Mm-hmm.
watching. Like I said, like I get like it's am I going to be shamed by the movie going audience? Am I like
Yep.
am I dumb if I don't give this a five? Like I do think
Yep.
like it has really changed. Like I'm sure that's always been there, but whenever it becomes a social media, it becomes so much more immediate. And so yeah, I think like I'm getting there. I'm like, you know what, man? If somebody wants to roast me because I, you know, I was I saw the new Jurassic Park movie before I like it was an early showing, so I saw it more than everybody else. So I didn't have like the influence of other people
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And I'm like, dang, dude, I just had a fun time. That's a four. And then everybody's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this they ruined the this franchise again. And I'm like, you know what? I don't it was cool, man. And am I hurting the medium by appreciating a blockbuster movie? I don't know, but like I had a special experience there. I thought those dinosaurs were cool, man. Mahershala Ali's in that. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like just enjoy what you're gonna enjoy. And
Mm-hmm.
like specifically, I said this on my I did a just a quick like one sentence thing when I saw Weapons the other night.
Mm-hmm.
Insanely special movie. And it's like I feel like there's many interpretations to what that movie might mean to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the case for many, if not most movies. And as soon as you start to look at those conversations more like this is a dialogue where I'm learning from somebody more than like I am debating this person about what this movie means, is when it becomes a more enjoyable experience again. Like
Yeah.
if somebody tells me that like that movie meant this for them, like awesome, because that
Mm-hmm.
just makes the movie deeper. It doesn't make them right or me right or whatever. Like I really think that that has improved my viewing experience quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I still like I'll get down with the like a conversation every now and then where it's like oh you just don't get it like they were
Mm-hmm.
trying like it can be fun and playful but you just want to make sure you don't get elitist about it or like competitive to a certain extent. So
And it's
yeah,
very easy talking movies to, to come across elitist, even if you're not trying to be. Like,
yeah,
like, and it's like I'm always very cautious about that. Like, because
yeah,
like I have my very strong views, but at the same time, I'm always the one who is the first one to say, you like what you like. It's all good. Like,
yeah,
like I don't really care what you like or don't like. What I care about is when I ask you why. Like,
yeah,
so if you tell me, oh, I rated this popular movie 1 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I don't agree with you, but tell me why then. Like,
hmm,
and if you tell me, well, I just didn't like it. Okay, but why did you not like it? Well, I just didn't like it. I'm like,
yep,
okay, but like, but if you like form like a few sentences like, oh, I didn't like this, I didn't like this, I didn't like this, even if in my eyes, totally wrong. Doesn't
hmm,
matter. At least you actually stand for something, and at least you
yeah,
formulate some sort of opinion where I could
hmm,
like, I don't agree with anything you said. However,
yeah,
I understand. Like, I genuinely understand. Like, I've met some interesting people like, that's the other thing. Like, we're part of, Sift Pop, right?
yep,
And it's very easy to forget that's a very tiny bubble in
hmm,
a grand scheme of things. So when you
yeah,
talk to movies, I don't know how you have it, but in my line of work or like in my work, many popular movies are not that popular.
yeah,
And
definitely,
it's like suddenly like, oh yeah, actually
hmm,
this is just, like there might be like this kind of sitcom bubble where it's like, oh yeah, this
yeah,
movie is like considered mid and everybody loves it.
hmm,
So you never know. You never
yep,
know.
absolutely,
And
yeah,
28 years later, Barry, you mentioned, so you're
hmm,
one of the I would say maybe not even 50%, but there is a certain percentage of people who absolutely hated the
hmm,
let's say last minute or two. So you one of
yeah.
those people?
I, I don't know if hate is like the
Mm,
right word, but it's just like I like it just wasn't worth it for me.
mm,
I'm excited for like the direction. I can't wait to see that as a movie.
yeah.
But the experience I had just had with like the rest of the movie and specifically how special
Hmm.
all of the Ray Fiennes like
Hmm.
meditation on like death and appreciating and respecting it the what like Memento Amoris or like just like
Yeah.
some of like how I was expecting that character to be like this like Doctor Death character in like a scary way, and then they completely reinvented that in such a thoughtful way. Um, I was just like, it was just jarring for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think part of what makes that movie so special is that it is willing to do insane stuff or really innovate. Like, even though we're doing this like really fictional, like hypothetical apocalyptic narrative, like the fact that we intercut images of like war of true like wars in the beginning and like
Hmm.
documentary footage, like it's definitely like a little bit oddball, but like it works so well because you don't have to follow the rules. That was
Hmm.
just one time where they broke a rule, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I like that rule. But
Yeah.
like still, I love the movie, and yeah, you're never gonna ruin it. It's at least I can't think of a time where a movie has been ruined by 30 seconds. Like
Yeah.
I was so enthralled by the entire thing. Like so,
See, like I'm in the same boat. Excuse me. Besides the only thing, I kind of love the ending, like the last
yeah,
minute. But I actually totally get why many people wouldn't. Because
yeah,
I went to the cinemas not knowing what it is, but I
mhm,
knew there is a controversial ending. So
yeah,
I was like, oh, I wonder what it is. And when it happened, I was like, ah,
hmm,
I totally see why people would not jam with it. But I kind of loved it because
yep,
I think it just, takes I don't think it takes anything away from what you just experienced. At the
hmm,
same time, it shows you, hey, you thought, this world is all doom and gloomy. Well, if you come in next January, it might not be.
yeah,
And if you know about UK pop culture and
hmm,
what those, I want to say uniforms, but
hmm,
why they were dressed the way they were dressed,
yeah,
it's even more sinister than you might realize. And I haven't even thought of it like that
yeah,
until I read somebody like you. Like I read
hmm,
somebody online that explained, oh, they are dressed like this person. And
hmm,
of course, in this timeline, they wouldn't have known about the
hmm,
horrible things they've done.
yeah, yep.
That person done has done. I was like, oh shit, that
I
is.
definitely, yeah. The next one definitely is gonna somehow interrogate like our relationship with celebrity or with television based on like that the very first scene and the very last scene of that
I
movie.
hope so. And it's Nia
Yeah,
DaCosta, and I
yeah.
really I kind of
Hmm.
like the Marvels, and
That's yeah.
and
Hmm.
I like the Candyman. I
Hmm.
liked it enough. I had some issues with the
Yeah.
movie. I don't think it's a perfect movie,
Hmm.
but the way she tells the story,
Hmm.
like I really vibe with that, and
Yeah.
I'm very excited with what she's gonna do next. And when I heard that she's making the sequel to 28 Years Later,
Hmm.
I was like, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
be there. I'll be there in January. I cannot wait.
Absolutely. Yeah. That one, it's just insane. It's
Hmm.
so fun.
Hmm.
The camera work is unbelievable and genuinely like you just ask yourself like I'm very much not like a is this movie necessary person. I don't
Hmm.
think anything is inherently or like necessary or unnecessary. I just don't at all think of movies that way.
Me neither.
Um,
No.
but I do ask myself like what can this possibly add to the zombie canon? Like
Hmm.
what are you gonna do differently that makes and then I truly just adore all of the stuff around the Bone Temple and the fact that that's the next movie
Hmm.
as well is like I just can't wait. So yeah.
And the kid actor, the
Yep.
main, you know,
Hmm.
what a performance
Yeah.
by this 14, 15-year-old, if
Yeah.
that. Like I was like
It's yeah. He
kid
was
actors are
unbelievable.
not usually great.
Hmm.
Like but like this dude, I hope he's got a very bright future ahead of him
Yeah.
because he definitely has the acting chops.
Yeah, I totally agree. He was definitely a standout. Yeah, I mean, there was no real like lightweights. I mean, it just the only I really had very little to complain about. Like I just
Hmm.
enjoyed it. Like it's
Hmm.
just yeah, special, really special. And I mean, I had seen the first one and
Hmm.
I liked it, but this was so much more meaningful to me.
All right. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, like I also rated it for 4.5 out of 5. Like there
yeah,
was something I was missing. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I have a feeling on a rewatch it might go
yeah,
higher because
yeah.
like it's definitely one of those like I didn't expect to serve me so much feelings rather than
Hmm.
horror.
Yeah.
And it still has some nice horror, but it's
Hmm.
just like the journey we go through and
Hmm.
the life, death, sense of community is a
Mm.
big theme there, of course. How
Yep.
the only person, it's mentioned that only UK is affected by this pandemic, and
Yeah.
no other country. Like the life goes
Hmm.
on, but not for the UK. And I'm like,
Yep.
yeah, this is definitely not about the Brexit. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, what is
Yep.
the last quote unquote teen movie you would rate 5 out of 5? So anything between 2003 and 2019.
This one I most recently I would say similar vibe to um 28 years later. I two move like a few movies I would say
Hmm.
that I have watched over and over and over again. And just for some reason we've just been elitist about the 5 star where like
Hmm.
I just don't feel the same way anymore. A couple of them would be Arrival, which I think I have always had as
Yes.
5 stars. That is just groundbreaking to me. It is one of the most thoughtful movies I've ever watched.
Hmm.
The Max Richter's as a composer, his On the Nature of Daylight, that is one of my favorite songs of all time, and the way it's used in that movie is spectacular. And then two movies that are probably going to just get the bump, like I don't know why I didn't.
Hmm.
Classic comedies at this point would be The Nice Guys and Game Night. Like it's just
Nice.
they're just airtight. Like
Yes.
they're light, they're fun, they are innovative in many ways. Especially Game Night's like cinematography, just
Hmm.
like the way that they made the world look like a game board in like those aerial shots. It's just so dang awesome. Like I just love it. I just love
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
So those are ones that I just rewatch like routinely.
Hmm.
Um, and I just can't get enough of.
Yeah. So let's start with game night.
Yeah.
I really like it. I
Hmm.
ever since I seen a trailer and Rachel McAdams, the scene at
Hmm.
the airport always like kills me. Just basically like she's held at gunpoint. The
Yep.
the plane starts up. And the bad guy gets sucked into the engine, and she's like, "Yes!" And then like a few
Hmm.
seconds later, "Oh no, he died."
Yep. She's
Um,
fantastic. Yeah.
like she has such a great sense of comedic timing. This like it's so underappreciated because those couple of
Hmm.
seconds and like yes, oh no, he
Yep.
died.
Yep.
Like
Absolutely.
just yeah, like Nice Guys. I was one of the few who actually seen it in the cinemas because that movie
Mhm.
flopped hard, but I thought
Oh
it was
yeah.
great. Like I just
Hmm.
like ever since 2016, I was like, yeah, this is a great movie. But
Hmm.
Arrival. So
Hmm.
that was one of the first movies I've introduced my now fiance to when we started
Yep.
to date,
Hmm.
and she was also floored. I remember
Yep.
thinking, this is such a great movie, like showing you how humans are in our imperfection. We are kind of perfect in a way where if had you known this terrible thing will happen, would you still go with it? Would you still
Hmm.
do it? Would you still, because you like the sacrifice and the burden that's asked
Hmm.
of Amy Adams. How was she not nominated for that role particularly?
Hmm.
Like still blows my mind.
Yep.
Like I remember like watching and being on top of the Oscars that
Yep.
year, and everybody on the internet like, yeah, Amy Adams for Arrival, that's pretty much shoe in, like she will be there, and then wasn't, and it was like, the fuck,
Yep.
like
Yep.
what?
Made no sense.
So,
Yeah.
no, but Arrival, that's a I would like I don't like to use that word lightly, but I like because it's not even been 10 years. Soon, next year, 10 years.
Yep.
But I genuinely think this is a classic of a genre.
It like even just like the depth of it is unbelievable, but like the just straight up the concept there
mm-hmm.
of like the actual mechanics of first contact and breaking down language in that way is so cool.
Yep.
And then the way they were able to perfectly weave that like thematically, and have like a plot twist that shocked me,
Mm-hmm.
that was a unbelievable gut punch, that no matter like every single time I am like anxiously awaiting those turning scenes, those the turning points,
Hmm.
and still I am bawling before they even like hit the notes. Like it's like a it's just so special to me. Like yeah, I mean it's one of the movies like I think really I considered myself like a movie person close to this time. Like it
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
this, it was Mad Max, it was The Martian,
Hmm.
like those in a row, um, have me where I am today, like why I appreciate that kind of storytelling.
Yes. No, like same. That movie is special. That you can argue that's for me that probably would be this might be controversial, but for me that might be my favorite Denis Villeneuve. Like I know for many it would be Dune or Dune Part 2. I
Yeah,
know, or Blade
yeah,
Runner 2049. Like he's made
it,
some great movies.
yeah, it's hard to compare. Even Prisoners is good.
Yep.
Enemy is interesting, is fun, but like I just think Air or Arrival is airtight. Like
Yes.
I think Dune Dune 1 I thought felt I felt the little like the part 1 of it
Hmm.
more than a lot of those movies. I Dune 2 I loved even more. It fixed a lot of the issues I had with that movie, but I just don't think that there is a story that is as perfect to me
Hmm.
in his film. I mean like and it's no shade because those are obviously masterpieces
Hmm.
and I'm sure he'll come back to those heights eventually, but it's a once in a lifetime thing to me. The way that that movie hit me,
Hmm.
having no spoilers, matched with no expectations,
Hmm.
because like I just happened to be at the theater opening night and wasn't super plugged into the space, looking for sci-fi. Yeah, like it's hard to replicate that personal experience.
Agreed. That it was awesome.
Yep.
So, what is the last quote unquote adult movie you would rate 5 out of 5? So, anything between 2002 and 1975.
I would say easy one, um, but kind of unique to some extent. The first Alien movie I saw
Mm,
was Romulus,
okay.
and I really was enthralled by that movie. Like, I loved the world that they had and everything like that. So it did motivate me to go back and watch Alien and Aliens.
Hmm.
So I loved both a lot, but specifically Alien. Um, the fact that like it's such a foundation of so many movies that I have seen and I hadn't seen the movie, but I had seen almost every scene of the movie because it's all a masterpiece and they're all gifs or clips or things that you have seen.
Hmm.
But it still slammed me on like when I got to watch it all put together, like it still floored me, it terrified me, it had me thinking, like it is I think to this day, my favorite type of movie to get to see is a horror movie or a thriller movie that really really cares about the the thematic or like an allegory to a certain extent like those metaphor horror movies is kind of what I tend to call them
Hmm.
like weapons or stuff like that. This feels like one of the first ones of those for me because like when I like growing up hearing about the movie, I assumed it was just like horror, like scary alien movie, but what it has to say about sexual assault and stuff like that, like once you like really read into like what they had intended with what they
Hmm.
were doing, um, it might have created my favorite genre. And so being able to go back and really appreciate that movie and it landing the way it did was awesome.
Yeah. No, like Alien is probably the main reason Ridley Scott has had the career he's had.
Hmm.
Because like this is not his first movie, but it's I think it's like second or third. He
Hmm.
and knock it out of the park like this.
Yeah.
It's something to be admired.
Hmm.
Like, one can also not forget how claustrophobic it's almost all of it takes place in like one location, besides
Yep.
the trip on a planet they take, in the
Hmm.
beginning. But like I always been a sucker for those movies. So it's like
Yep.
one location, let's say six, seven actors, just like,
Hmm.
you don't, it's nothing even. or we're not saving the world. It's like something like a tiny. Well, in this
Yeah.
case, the tiny part is we literally trying to survive because this
Yep.
alien creature is hunting us down.
Hmm.
But it's so just, you're on the edge of the seat, and I
Hmm.
heard stories of people when they wanted to go and watched it in a cinema when it came out in 1980. Well, is it
Hmm.
79, 80?
79,
Yeah,
79. Yeah.
79, yes. How one of the most common questions were, can you actually see it? Can you actually see the alien? Because all the
Mm.
trailers did not show you
Yeah.
anything.
Hmm.
So, and one of the, or if not the famous tagline, in space, no one can hear you scream.
Yep.
Just that simple sentence,
Hmm.
pure genius. Whoever came
Yep.
up with that, hats off.
Yep.
That's a great pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it is challenging. Like some of those movies that we like, as you get into movies that you just hear everything about, like basically like that top like 50 or 100 movie, those must sees.
Hmm.
It's all like it's hype, right? Like you, how
Yeah.
can it live up to your expectations when it's been hyped to such a degree? Like
Hmm.
these are the 100 out of the 100,000 movies that have been made, right? Like, and the fact that it still lands with me, like there were parts where I could probably see it coming just because like it influenced every movie, every horror movie afterwards, but like it's still. Yeah, when it is able to resonate with you that way, in spite of the hype, is what makes it kind of
Hmm.
endearing for me.
And Sigourney Weaver, like, talk about a, great heroine. And also,
Hmm.
let's not forget nomination for Aliens. Not for this movie, but for Aliens. She was actually nominated for
Yeah.
an Oscar. So, and that's not an easy feat to get
Hmm.
nominated for a horror movie. Just ask,
Yep.
Lupita Nyong'o, just ask
Hmm.
Toni Collette.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, yeah. Anyway, what is the last quote unquote old movie you'd rate 5 out of 5? So anything 1974 and older.
Yeah, I watched 12 Angry Men for the first
Mm.
time a couple weeks ago.
Talk about one of
Um,
the big ones.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's always interesting, like watching those. The acting is obviously like what we expect of actors is completely different as to like what performances were back then. It's a little bit more like dramatic or like theatrical. Um, and yeah, I mean, I didn't really know what to expect about it,
Mhm.
aside from the fact that it was a masterpiece, and I really, really dug it. The dialogue is basically airtight. The mystery at the heart of it is really, really compelling. All of the angry men are very defined, and like in what is a relatively short movie, the fact that you're able to give each of the characters like such like meaningful roles in unraveling this mystery
Mhm.
is great. Is really, really great. And genuinely, the scene, maybe one of my favorite movie scenes of all time now, is where the guy starts going on like his racist tirade and people just start ignoring him. Like
Mhm.
even the villains or the antagonists of the movie start just like you it's so relevant to today. So like I just wish that type of thinking was in everybody's brain, right? Because you have these people like he's the original rage baiter. And
Yeah.
like some people just like you give them exactly what they want when you sit there and like let them talk, but like the fact it wasn't even like the main like I can't I'm terrible with names of like old actors, but it wasn't even the main guy who got up and started that. Like it was one of the other jurors who just like I can't stand for this, and he just walks away from the table, and like that scene is one of the most like meaningful movie scenes I've seen in so long.
Mhm.
It like proved to me that like everything's the same. Like it's different. Like things have gotten worse, things have gotten better, but like that is such a thematic line directly into the life I'm experiencing from
Mhm.
almost 100 years ago is so, so insane.
I was just gonna bring it up. So I checked myself before, like when you were talking, I quickly checked. This was Sidney Lumet's directing feature debut. So he's
Yeah.
done quite a few television, some episode of televisions and some
Uh-huh.
shorts, but this was his feature debut. And again, talk about knocking it out of the park. This is a masterpiece. This, like, I genuinely think that, if you're in a movie school, this should be, and I think it is,
Yeah, I'm sure it
should be
is.
used
Absolutely. Yeah.
as this is how you write a screenplay, and this is how you utilize next to nothing when it comes to budget. Like, all you
Hmm.
need is one room, 12 people, and
Hmm.
basically one great story in the middle
Yep.
of it. And the fact that it, like, it just feels electric. The fact that you're never bored.
Yeah.
And also the fact that Sidney Lumet, his last movie, so this is 1957, his
Hmm.
last movie was 2007.
That's
Is
crazy. Yeah.
insane. This guy, like,
Hmm.
I think many people forget about him, but
Yeah.
he has some great movies under his belt, and
Yeah.
this might be his peak. So, like,
Yep.
or a peak. This might be his, like, magnum opus because, like, it's very hard to top something like 12 Angry
Yeah.
Men. And I would say, have you watched the remake from 1997?
No, I'm not.
Really good, also really good. Great casting. There's James Gandolfini is there. There's
Hmm.
quite a few like notable actors. Exactly the same, but
Yeah.
like it's more like it's a grittier movie.
Hmm.
And I think if you like this one, it's one of those like the remake is as good or like almost as good as the original. Like I would strongly recommend that as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely be like I really was moved by the story and the performances, so I could definitely see myself checking that out.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
I right afterwards I got summoned for jury duty as well, and it is not the same. Not at
I
all as compelling.
I also have been summoned to JDT like now 2 years ago, and yeah, it's
Mm,
not the same. That is
nope.
100%. And
Mm-mm.
also talk about a movie I need to rewatch because this is a movie, the original I've only watched once,
Yep.
and that was when I was about 15, 14, so it might be now 2 decades. So, but it just still
Yep.
made such an impression. I remember certain scenes, like
Yep.
the glasses scene when he takes off his
Yeah.
glasses and does that, and then
Yep.
basically sways most of, I was like, that's
Hmm.
such a great fucking detail.
Yep.
That's no, yeah, that's a great, like again, talk about some big ones. That's one of the
Yep.
best movies you can ever see. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. Well worth the
So
watch.
100%. So based on this, what would you say is your favorite movie decade?
Uh, it's almost unfair. Like um very much am more of a see movies in theaters than I
Hmm.
am about like watching older movies. Like I do it occasionally. I have some like specifically like I'll get into it for like a month or two and I'll really focus on that, but I'm very much in theaters. So the bulk of my movie watching career was the 2010s,
Hmm.
and I there's just so many movies that are special to me from that decade. From like Blind Spotting, we talked about Arrival, Mad Max, Game Night, like Nice Guys, Spider-Verse, like um, the the highlights of the MCU as a project,
Hmm.
kind of pushing what that can be. Um, yeah, it's got to be the 2010s. Like, even like I've watched more movies per year in theaters. Like these past couple of years just because I've been with Sif Pop.
Hmm.
Um, I definitely didn't go to the movies as much in the 2010s, but yeah, those stand out to me for sure.
No, 2010s is a great decade. Like it is still like it's hard to say that because we obviously both of us we have like a recency bias
Yeah.
because we are still not that far removed from it at all.
Mhm.
But at the same time, there are some great movies I genuinely believe will stand the test of time, which
Yep.
only time will tell. But
Yep.
like 2010s, it's one like this is the fun thing about talking movies. It's so hard to even argue, oh, it's just a recency bias, but there are some fucking great movies. And like
Hmm.
MCU was definitely at its peak in that
Yep.
decade.
Yep.
One can argue ever since that decade ended, it's been
Yep.
kind of like, like this
Yep.
kind of wave where it's like
Yeah.
sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down.
Hmm.
But yeah, no argument here. Like, there are some great, like Arrival is one we mentioned.
Hmm.
most of Christopher Nolan's movies in that, like Interstellar,
Yep.
that's also another one that's just, yeah.
Hmm.
No, many great movies. So
Hmm.
no argument there.
Yeah. It's definitely the decade like that I've seen the most movies.
Mhm.
So that's also like proposes some bias there. But
Yeah.
um yeah, I mean if you ask me like a favorite movie, the odds that the first one that comes to my head is gonna be 2010s is like 90%. Like
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
just special. I do think that there's also just something to like seeing movies in theaters
Hmm.
that is gonna just improve the experience even just like a little bit. Like Alien, I'm sure I would have loved that more if I got to see it in theaters.
Hmm.
I grew up watching a lot of the Studio Ghibli movies, and those were really, really meaningful to me. And recently they've been re-releasing them in theaters. So seeing Totoro in theaters like that did
Oh.
just like kind of complete a puzzle that I didn't know like I was missing a piece. Like
Hmm.
that is just like that extra step to kind of having that meaningful moment with it.
Hmm.
And so the fact that I most of my life was spent in the 2010 so far, like it makes sense that
Yeah.
that's where I'm gonna lean.
No, and like there is something about a theater experience where, yeah, it definitely can highlight even more one movie that you would, you vibe even more because you've seen it on a big screen with a great
Hmm.
sound.
Yep.
Like, like for me, like last year, The Substance.
Yep.
It's still my favorite movie of last year,
Hmm.
which, it's a choice, but it's my choice. But at
Hmm.
the same time, like it's a loud movie, so in a theater, it's really in your face, but also those
Hmm.
quiet moments afterwards really resonate with you.
Yep.
And I don't know if that had such an impact on me at home,
Hmm.
but yeah, like no, 100% about your point with the
Yeah.
theater going experience. Like it definitely can heighten it up, and that's why I also
Hmm.
like even here in the UK they started to re-release more like older movies. So
Hmm.
for like reasonable price, so
Yep.
you can actually go see like I managed to catch like Terminator 2 on a big screen like
Hmm.
a few years ago. I managed to watch like John Carpenter's Christine,
Yeah.
the killer car movie,
Hmm.
which I thought, oh yeah, nobody's gonna be there. And then like pretty much 90% of that
Yeah.
cinema was sold out, and I was like,
Hmm.
holy shit, are we seeing a Marvel movie here? Well, like, where are
Hmm.
you? Like all of the people suddenly like, showed up. I was like, wow. So
Hmm.
that was great.
Yep. Definitely. Yeah. It's always, I mean, and then you have like the special experience, like
Hmm.
Infinity War. I'll always remember
Hmm.
how I felt at the end of that, like split. I think, I mean, maybe even again, recency bias, but I had similar experiences just with how I felt watching 28 years later.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's just a different vibe sometimes, that
Or
can
we
really make or break.
Yeah, or you mentioned Sinners before.
Yeah, yeah,
That pivotal scene, middle of the
hmm,
movie, the
yep,
music, let's call it musical
yeah,
scene.
hmm,
That like I was not prepared for it, and I was like, wow, what is happening? And then I was like,
yeah,
I am so into this. Okay, let's go. And that just I can't wait
yeah.
to rewatch that movie because that was great.
Yeah, music specifically, when you have like the good speakers, like that is
Hmm.
going to like it taps into your like veins where
Yes,
you might not always get that at home. Yeah, I
yes,
agree.
yes.
Hmm.
So you've alluded to this before, so let's go. What
Yeah.
is your or what are your hot movie takes? Let's hear it.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier,
Mm-hmm.
very, very into comic books. So like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when the whole MC, when like I am a target audience here, and one thing as the target audience of those movies that has always rubbed me the wrong way is the relationship that the like film side of this viewership has with cameos. Um,
Ah, okay.
like the disdain that people have for cameos, specifically for like comic book movies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it is like it's completely to remove that would be completely undercut like what that medium like what its strength is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying like it's done incredibly every single time, but
Mm-hmm.
it's the shared universe idea is the thing that makes comics so different than any other medium. Like you can't have some of the insane interactions and random crossovers and like the world colliding moments
Hmm.
um that you get there, and like some of the parts like where they really lean into and allow that to naturally happen in the MCU, I think are like just so special and meaningful to me, like as a comic book reader. Like it's not even necessarily the things that I think you might think of. Like I think of Thor Ragnarok, where we have like one scene with Doctor Strange. Like that
Hmm.
is so quintessentially what comic books are.
Hmm.
Is you have these characters who just like pop up, and it doesn't hurt if you don't read their comics. It doesn't, like, maybe that'll be the moment that makes you read those comics or makes you watch those movies. Um, it is, I think, like that is what makes a comic book movie in many ways.
Hmm.
It's like it's part of the suspension of disbelief. Like, like it's good, it's bad, right? Like you watch a Spider-Man movie and the common thing of like, where is Iron Man? He's in New York. Like, why is everybody not responding to this? Like, you give and you take. Like, it's just part of like rights. It's part of the complicated like maybe when they made that movie or made that comic book, they intended to have that character, and then a lawsuit came up, or the artist couldn't draw it right, or just like any, like it's just like such a unique um medium. Like it's not like books, really. It's not like movies or TV shows. Like it has a different thing, and I think instead of using that as like a flaw, we should just like I think you really should view it as what you get when you combine two mediums together, and
Hmm.
like the potential of it. And yeah, I think it's to have like a negative perception of it is oftentimes going to ruin your experience and kind of have this barrier to entry that ultimately, like as a fan of comic books, like I would hate to see that go away.
Hmm.
um, so yeah, that's my big thing. Like I feel like cameos get a bad rap, and I think it can be done wrong. I think it
Hmm.
could. I know I might be in the minority, or like it's relatively controversial, but um, there are moments where it can be done in a super meaningful way for
Hmm.
the story. Like I do love what they did with No Way Home with the Spider-Man, like
Yeah.
because it's like it's you are there when you're talking about a comic book or talking about a comic book property, like there's so many pieces that come together for those things to happen.
Hmm.
Like meta text. Like I grew up loving Spider-Man. I grew up watching all of those movies, being told that this would never happen, and so to see that happen on the screen, sure, is it fan service? Yeah, but is that a bad thing? I don't think so. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Interesting. So your hot take is defending cameos. I like it.
Yeah.
Because I will say, I think I'm on a side of like a very boring side, which is as long as the cameos make some sort of sense, I'm fine with anything. Like I loved No Way Home, even though I haven't rewatched it since the cinema, so I don't know
Yeah.
how well it plays at home. So, like the Deadpool and Wolverine, I definitely skew on really, really enjoyed my time with that movie,
Hmm.
despite some people did not because of
Yeah.
maybe the cameos.
Yep.
And but again, like in that movie, like for example, Deadpool and Wolverine, I thought most of them kind of make sense. Like that's why I was not bothered with that because like the idea of them playing into, oh yeah, this character never had a great movie, so let's bring them in, or this
Yeah.
character never even had a movie, so
Hmm.
let's do something with that character. Not you know
Exactly.
not
Yeah.
not to spoil anything, even
Hmm.
though it's been a
Yeah.
year, so like, but still.
Yeah.
I again, if done correctly and if done well and serve some sort of purpose in that story, great.
Hmm.
But if it's like, oh, we have a Spider-Man for 1 minute, cool. It's like, like for example, I think the perfect example of that is Venom.
Hmm.
Because that was a big thing when, Sony made a
Yep.
deal with the MCU and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna integrate Spider-Man, and then nothing happened with that because obviously it's some of it is not under their control. Some of it is like as you mentioned, legal stuff.
Yep.
You know, who's gonna take the bigger cut of money? Like
Hmm.
Sony, son, just give up.
Yeah.
Like you've made Madam Web.
Hmm.
Don't even try to do anything. But
Yep.
that kind of cameo is like, oh yeah, Spider-Man is here, and then the next the Venom 3 starts with like, oh yeah, I'm back to my universe. No more
Yep.
Spider-Man. I'm like, well, that was worthy of our time. Cool.
Yep. Yeah, I think the Sony versus is like a as a concept failed almost exclusively. Like I enjoyed some of the like the first two Venom movies I like quite a bit, and even the third one is interesting and like pacing and narratively so weird.
Yeah.
Like the like vibe of like almost like a contemplative road trip movie. Like it's just like not what you would expect for the finale of a trilogy.
No.
Um, yeah, definitely some stuff that's done wrong. But like for me, you like I just think when we started really leaning on comic book movies, I think the people who expected comic books to fit the mold of movies as opposed to bringing some of the fun comic booky stuff to cinema, allowing the medium to evolve. I think that's what's going to end to you like not having as much fun with it.
Hmm.
Because like there's like very little that I can think of like when you when you're writing a book for the most part, almost for the most part, like you write your story, you give out your story, maybe you do a couple sequels and then it's like it's done.
Hmm.
For movies, you make the movie and it's done. But comic books, it is a non-stop relay race where basically everything exists in the same timeline that's been happening for the past like almost 100 years.
Hmm.
It is a completely different type of narrative that like is like people kind of take it for granted, like how different it is. And so a lot of the growing pains that happen when those things kind of combined, you like I wish it wasn't just like kind of knocked aside. Like for me, if you want to talk about bad cameos or meaningless cameos,
Hmm.
is the celebrity of it all. Like I cannot watch a Adam Sandler movie anymore. Like the I like the just the trailer alone for Happy Gilmore 2, like that is a bad cameo fest to me.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like that just like it just makes me like so gives me like such a cringy feeling just thinking about just the it just feels forced. And so I know some people feel that about comic book movies, and I get it. Like it's there will be some times where it just feels unnatural or it doesn't work, and that happens in comic books too, man. Like I'm not saying it's perfect, but you kind of have to understand that you're getting a different type of story when you watch comic book
Hmm.
adaptation.
No, 100%. I agree with that. Especially like I also enjoyed the first two Venoms, even the second one, which was a bit of insane movie.
I like the second one more, yeah. Like I just thought it
Yeah,
was bad shit. Like why yeah.
yeah, but like I was like, damn, that's a Venom, but make it metal. Like I
Yeah.
don't know how else to describe it. I'm like, damn,
Mhm.
that was a, and I also seen that in a cinema. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's a, it's not a great movie, but it is.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
yeah, the third one, I was disappointed by. Like it's still, I had a fun, but yeah, I didn't.
It's odd. It is so weird for the finale of a trilogy.
I also feel like, it not a missed the mark, but I feel like it almost missed the point. Like, Venom suddenly being all, like not self-aware, sorry, more like contemplative and just like, this like, oh, like looking
Yeah.
introspectively into, oh, this my life without him, and
Mhm.
what's gonna happen? Do I need to die? And I'm
Yep.
like, really? This is the finale of this,
Yeah.
beast? I
Yep.
Again, as a person who's never read a single comic book in his life, I only
Mhm.
go by on a movie. So maybe this happened in a comic movie number 5,400, whatever. Cool. But like in a movie, it just doesn't work. It almost feels like there's a story missing in that movie.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like it's not always going to work. Like
yeah.
I'm not saying that you should just accept cameos if you don't like them.
Hmm.
I'm saying like if like there are some people like myself who like their my brain is wired to just like appreciate that. The juggling that has to happen like in terms of like trying to keep like consistency, trying to keep like everything in line. Like the fact that they make mistakes and have to like work back from that, like it's so interesting. It leads to some really, really unique storytelling potential. Yeah, it's just cool. Like I think the idea of a comic book movie is really different now. And I
Hmm.
think James Gunn has a lot of the heart there. I think that's why
Oh yeah.
that's why Mr. Terrific was in the movie. That's why like he if you are be ready because whatever he okays is going to be very comic book inspired. Like to the point where he's getting original comic book authors to like heavily involved in the process of adapting their works. Like um you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. Like
Mhm.
it's going to be for comic book fans, I think. So
No, that's a good point actually. The latest Superman movie, there
yeah.
are some cameos from
Mhm.
certain people who will appear in, let's say, in their own movies.
Yeah.
And there's the one specific one. I was like, oh, that I kind of love it. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Like, without spoiling anything, that person, already has a movie made about them,
Hmm.
already wrapped. We know what's gonna happen.
Hmm.
So the fact how they incorporated that person into that story for like 1 minute, I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, that's all I need, and
Yep.
I really liked it. It was very fun. So yeah, I did like that cameo.
Yep. Yeah. That would be my like that kind of thing, the Doctor
Hmm.
Strange thing.
Hmm.
I try to think of other little things, but yeah, that shared universe
Hmm.
is so much of the appeal
Yeah.
for the genre.
Any other hot movie takes, or would you like to move
No,
on?
I think that was the big one I had
Okay,
prepared there. Yeah, I think that's
good, good,
that's
good.
that's the one.
All right. So with that, we can move to the underrated part of this podcast, where I'll ask you, Jack, who do you think is the most underrated actor we have right now?
I thought about this for a long time, and I definitely like I feel attached to this person
Hmm.
because I genuinely like the bulk of their career. I've followed what they've been doing, and I have yet to see him miss is Brian Tyree Henry.
That's like a second or third time he's been mentioned in this section, so that's great.
Dude, he's just that guy. Like
Hmm.
I saw him on Atlanta, the show where he really broke out, and I just loved him. Like he played like the rapper who was intense but cared about his family and is very funny and quick-witted. And it was just great. And then he
Hmm.
just started popping up all over the place. I mean, just like looking through, like, because he's one who just is like, for some reason, just everywhere. Like, the main thing that I um, really appreciate is his role in the Spider-Man Spider-Verse movies. Like, you just tell he cares
Yeah.
even more than some of the other people in that movie. Like, he is like the emotion, specifically in the first movie where there starts to be some strife between him and Miles.
Hmm.
The scene where he's like up against the door, that gets me tearing up. He is so emotional, like the perfect example of that father who is pushing the son away, but pushing them to be great as well. Like I don't know, it's just he's so fantastic. Widows, I liked him a lot in Widows. He popped up in Joker. I don't like it's just fine. Like I'm just like oh sweet, I love this guy.
Hmm.
That's the I mean it's like I like it. But then you get into Eternals. I'm an Eternals defender, and I think specifically he is good in that movie.
Hmm.
I think he's really special. His dynamic with Aaron Taylor Johnson in Bullet Train
Yes.
shows a lot of the strengths of both of those gentlemen in terms of like comedic value. Causeway is like a little one he did with Jennifer Lawrence that I reviewed for the site when it came out, which is just like a small slice of life movie about like two adults just figuring out life.
Hmm.
And it's not perfect, but he is great in it. I watched Class of '09, which is an FX show, another one that I reviewed for the site
Hmm.
about police. Like I wouldn't go shouting that one from the rooftops, but like he's fantastic in it, and what he got me through the entire series pretty much. He's just I'm there for anything he does. Like, and
Hmm.
specifically with the Spider-Verse and then into Transformers, voice work might be his like where he just sings. Like he is just excellent.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, Cosby got him a nomination for the Oscar. So, like, it was like a smaller movie, but definitely made a
Mhm.
huge impact on his career.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen Atlanta, but it's been on my list for a while. So, like,
Yeah.
I'm getting around to it, but it's just
Mhm.
so much to watch. There's so
Yep.
many TV shows.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
for
like
sure.
no, him, and I'm so happy you mentioned Bullet Train because funny enough, this was my kind of coming breaking out moment for this from Brian Tyree Henry
Yeah.
specifically
Hmm.
because I was like, who is this dude? Why is he so funny? Like, why
Hmm.
is he working so well in this movie for me?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? Because like he could have easily been like that character could have been just easily like disposable funny character number two, right?
Hmm.
And if you didn't have him, it would be like, oh yeah, he was funny, but yeah. But you remember him. He brings that gravitas. So
Hmm.
where there is a scene later on in the movie, something happens, and like, oh, you kind of feel something for him.
Yeah.
And it's
Definitely.
just like, I hope he's one of those like up and comers. Like, well, he's been working for a while, but it only seems now for the last 5 years or so he broke into the mainstream, and
Hmm.
I hope they will
Definitely. Yeah.
continue. I love it when it comes to Eternal. He said something like you're Eternal's defender.
Yeah.
I kind of am on the same page, even though I still think the movie is very average. But I've even like written about it how this is something MCU desperately needs to
Hmm.
actually hire author filmmakers and give them
Hmm.
more of a free range and not necessarily fit into a cookie cutter, hey, we are MCU, everything needs to align like this.
Yep.
Except that movie failed in the box office miserably, so I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
I thought it was a interesting experiment. So and but yeah, his role was great. So like, I cannot wait to see what he will have in the next 5 to 10 years and whether he will stay, on top of his game because, the hard part is staying there. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like your first million. The hard part is the first million.
Hmm.
Afterwards, it's easy.
Yep.
But it just, yeah. Okay, so who do you think is the most underrated actress then we have right now?
This one I struggle with a little bit more, and more than anything, like this name came to my mind. It might, I don't know. You can decide whether it's in the spirit of the question or not. I think a really interesting career to discuss right now is Dakota Johnson. Um,
Hmm.
because obviously, like she, right now just released was the star of a Celine Song movie, like uh, adored. I loved it. I had a lot of fun with it. But even like she in that movie, she was good, but wasn't necessarily the selling point for me. So you have instances like that. Then you have instances, of course, like Madam Web or 50 Shades of Grey,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like the circumstances of the movie couldn't ever have facilitated a fantastic performance. And I think in Madam Web there are some moments where she kind of like buys into the camp, almost as if like she knows she's going to be in like a mystery science theater movie. Like it's just like there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are some movies straight up, and let me make sure I get the names of them right because they deserve shout outs, where the movies are great and she is a huge contributing factor. I do like Materialists. I think it was good to great, but I think she kind of got unfortunately like had less to do weirdly than some of the other characters. Like Chris Pine is the guy there for me. I'm looking forward to Splitsville, which I've seen some trailers for.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has an interesting concept to it. Am I Okay came out a couple years ago. It is a movie where she is kind of like just like an adult figuring out what to do with her. Like she's got a best friend who she has a very complicated relationship with, who's about to move away, and she's kind of battling with that. Funny, emotional, very modern. Um, she's great in that. One of
Mm-hmm.
my favorites from her. Cha Cha Real Smooth, sorry. Same year, I adored this movie.
Hmm.
Her specifically, and her relationship with Cooper Rife, the writer and director, and then her daughter in the film, played by Vanessa Berghardt. Just a great trio, movie that was incredibly insightful, subversive, for me, had like genuinely something relatively unique to say about love and romance and relationships. Um, it's basically like the exact movie I want to see her in,
Hmm.
which is why I'm interested in Splitsville. Like I think there is some like relative like quirk and creativity, and like modern romance elements to it, that I think she can lend herself to really really powerfully.
Hmm.
And then like one of the a potential one I almost said for underrated movie when we talk about that, Bad Times at the El Royale. Like that's
Hmm.
just like what, like seven or eight people who are just like all on 10 for me. Like they're fantastic, and she's one of the more memorable ones for me from that.
Hmm.
Outside of Hemsworth, who's given that kind of the flashier role. I think she's great in that. I think everybody's great in that.
Hmm.
I just like it's interesting. I really think like her experience with some of these like random terrible movies that probably aren't her fault, can kind of like taint even my own opinion of her performances. So I was kind of like use this as a moment to reflect on that. So
Yeah. So unfortunately, I have not seen either of those three movies you've mentioned, or four,
mm,
Materialist also.
mm,
But I know of them and I know
okay,
of their reputation. So like I know like they are definitely on my watch. Like actually, like Battle, like Battle of El Royale is literally on my like I have a 4K of it on my shelf. So that's just
yeah,
waiting to be watched. And
that's a
I
great one.
think
Yep.
Am I Okay is on one of the streaming services in my watch
Mhm.
list. Chacharo's movie is on my Apple.
Yep.
So it's like it's there. I know of them.
Mhm.
But yeah, like Dakota Johnson, I've always believed that she is kind of like a female equivalent of like Ryan Reynolds in a
Okay.
way, except there's a major difference. But other than that, they're the same. So the major difference is she has a very quirky sense of humor. And so especially when she's being interviewed, sometimes it can come across very weird, and many
Mm,
people don't like her because she can come across maybe a bit too arrogant, maybe
mm,
bit too quirky. And I think just, I don't think she's like that. I genuinely
yeah.
think she is just herself unapologetically, and
Hmm.
she just, if she plays into it, that's great. So like, and why I mentioned Ryan Reynolds. I think if you give her a role that's tailored to her skills, she shines. Like my
Hmm.
examples of that would be the obvious one most people go to. I don't know if you've seen Peanut Butter Falcon.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's a great movie and it's a great performance by her.
Hmm.
And there's a one from, I want to say last year, 2024, maybe 2023, Daddio with Sean
Hmm.
Penn. Have you seen that?
I've not seen that one, no.
That's a totally my kind of movie because it's two people stuck in a cab for an hour and a
Hmm.
half talking, and it's just Sean
Yeah.
Penn, driver, and she
Hmm.
is just the passenger. And I just put it on one night and I didn't expect to resonate with me so much. That's a movie I gave 5 out of 5, even though many
Hmm.
people would not. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is my jam. Just people talking about life,
Hmm.
what they going through, why they're acting the way they are, like, having sometimes inappropriate conversations. It felt so raw, and both Sean Penn, Sean Penn is a great actor. Well, that's a hot take. But like her, like
Hmm.
I feel like she was again, if you give her the tools to be vulnerable,
Yep.
I think there's something there. And yeah, unfortunately, many people look at Madam Web, look at Fifty Shades, and then look at her interviews, and where sometimes it can come across a bit weird, and they're like, "Oh yeah, she must be a terrible person." I'm like, "No, I don't think she is. I think she just genuinely like a very funny person. It just
Yeah.
doesn't come across like that." As a person who also has a weird sense of humor, I understand that because many times I make a
Hmm.
joke and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's funny," and then nobody's laughing. I'm like, "Well, fuck, that flopped." But I'm not on a spot. I'm not in that spotlight. I'm not that important. So like, it's fine. But I think in that sense, Dakota Johnson is truly underrated, despite being
Yeah.
in one of the biggest movies of of the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually a solid choice.
Yeah, I think as she continues to make more movies, I think it can go either way. Like
Hmm.
she could be more one note than I feel like she is at this point because I just haven't seen much of her.
Hmm.
I specifically like I've liked her for the most part and movies that are relatively similar. So like maybe she'll show more depth or maybe it'll just kind of become the same thing over and over again. But I
Hmm.
definitely like really appreciate when she hits the pocket like that. She has a really, really unique way of uh handling characters that I don't really know who else would take those roles.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And again, like that's why I mentioned it's kind of like that's why in my eyes she's like Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
Like he most of the time nowadays has one speed, being Ryan
yeah.
Reynolds. But at the same
Hmm.
time, he does it well. So like and he has that charisma that most people still kind of forgive him.
Hmm.
So, I think that's the only difference. Like Dakota just is like, yeah, I'm not gonna play this game. Fuck this.
Yeah.
And I kind of admire her for that actually. So like, yeah. Who do you think is the most underrated director we have right now?
I this one was a little bit tougher. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like just the name like directors as a whole like either you don't know who directed the movie,
Mm-hmm.
it's a big name or like it's kind of like a joke of the industry. So like finding somebody who's like right there is kind of tough.
Mm-hmm.
But just based off how early we are into the career here, I want to shout out a duo whose work we've mentioned earlier in this recording actually is Daly and Goldstein,
Mm-hmm.
who wrote the first movie they did was Vacation,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is fun. I don't love it. Definitely funny. I think it's pretty good. But then they directed Game Night, which
Mm-hmm.
I think is a unbelievably incredible comedy movie, and specifically the direction is one thing that sings in it. Like a lot of the times, the funny part is like the script or the delivery of the characters or anything like that. But the way this movie is like shot and how serious they take certain stuff, and like the glass egg scene or whatever, how they turn that into like a little football game and just like all of that, like that is directing a comedy movie in a way that like makes it different,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of proves the value of that role. And then they followed that up with Dungeons and Dragons, it's like landing exactly the same for me. I love Dungeons and Dragons as like as a player as well. And I think this similar to like my little rant about comic books and stuff, like this took everything that makes the experience of playing Dungeons and Dragons and you like tailored it into a film in a way I didn't know you could do. Like
Mm-hmm.
these are people who care about making funny movies but also being true to like the group of people they're representing.
Mm-hmm.
And like specifically the way they got creative with the magical mirror, the different little puzzles that they have throughout there, the spread of different characters that we get to interact with. I think like I genuinely was hugely anticipating that movie, very scared that it was going to like besmirch a hobby that already gets kind of dunked on. And it ended up doing the opposite, and I feel like if you ever wonder why your friends enjoy Dungeons and Dragons, you can watch that movie and see the appeal, like
Mm-hmm.
what that hobby has that other hobbies might not have.
Yeah.
And
So,
so
mm-hmm.
I think they got one more movie in the works right now. But whatever they work on, they did a lot of writing as well. I think they had a hand in a Spider-Man Homecoming and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I'll be there for it.
To be fair, same because so we already mentioned Game Night, so I'm not gonna rehash that because like again, a great movie, watch it.
Yep.
But
Yep. Yep.
with
Yep.
Dungeons and Dragons, talk about a that trailer looked awful. And as I do not, I've never played a single Dungeons and Dragons
Yeah.
game. I'm not into that. So like, like I was not, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a flop, which it was a flop. However, when I actually watched the movie, I was laughing my ass off. I had
Yeah.
such a blast. And speaking of cameos,
Mm.
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah. What a way to do that is more of a celebrity cameo, but it works.
But that the joke, like I'm not gonna
Hmm.
spoil the joke, but there is
Yep.
a joke involving him.
Hmm.
And when you see it, you're just like, and he is so in on that. Like he
Yep.
is fully in on that joke, and like he only
Hmm.
has like a, what 2-3 minutes scene max,
Yeah.
and like it might like just be one of the most memorable scenes in that like entire. And again, it's a funny
Hmm.
movie. It's a great movie.
Hmm.
It's like there was some great other scenes like there's a scene at like cemetery that like like cracked me up as well.
Yep. That yeah. So like the exact sense of humor of
Hmm.
a like homebrewed D&D game. Like
Hmm.
that is what you would do to catch your buddy in a moment. Like it's just like it's so perfect. Great shout out.
But yeah, no, like honestly, those guys, like whatever they are gonna do next, I am there because like they've
Yep.
now managed to persuade me twice that oh yeah, we know how to make a comedy, we know how to
Hmm.
make movies, just trust us. Oh, I'll be there because like I did not expect to enjoy, especially Dungeons and Dragons as much as I did, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, great movie. So I
Yep.
know the next one is quite difficult because there are so
Yep.
many movies. But do you have
Yep.
one or two you want to shout out as underrated?
I think a movie that landed with me in theaters, like I was very excited for it.
Hmm.
One second. Is Isle of Dogs is just one that like came and
Hmm.
went and no one really talks about. Obviously like the follow-up to Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is
Hmm.
widely regarded as like one of the most like endearing like animated movies that we have, and one of the ones that kind of defined Wes Anderson's style. So when he was following this up, I was just very excited. And it landed for me so perfectly.
Hmm.
It has a unique aesthetic. I think the music is fantastic. What like the score and then also some of the needle drops, like I Won't Hurt You, as they kind of journey across a like open plain, is kind of burnt into my mind. The voice cast, as you would expect from a Anderson movie,
Hmm.
is great, and it's like I think that there can be an issue with animated movies when you rely too much on names as opposed to like talented voice actors. Like I think there's a reason that we have voice actors as opposed to just actors, but these most of these people here are like their voice adds value to their character. And it was just hilarious. Like sometimes like he just his sense of humor just lands exactly right for me.
Hmm.
I'm like I talked about it on Robert's podcast a couple months ago, but the Phoenician Scheme is like maybe one of like my favorite movies of his. Like I was just hysterically laughing.
Hmm. Hmm.
And like to talk about like mood can influence how you interact with the movie like profoundly. And specifically like being in a bad mood going into a comedy, a lot of the times I can find it hard to like bring me back. I was like in a bad mood. I like caught it was like 11 p.m. Because I just like didn't have any other time. I wanted to go to bed and I still was like cracking up the
Hmm.
entire time, and it like fixed my mood is like such a unique thing.
Yeah.
So I don't for some reason I don't necessarily like always land with him like with his most popular movies, but um like the ones that connect with me really connect with me. So I'd encourage people to give Isle of Dogs another try.
Hmm.
I can't argue that it's like the same heights as Fantastic Mr. Fox, but like it's so different and so specific that I don't find myself comparing it to it as much, which
Hmm.
helps.
No, I Love Dogs is up there for me when it comes to his best, like Wes Anderson's best movies because
Hmm.
like exactly for what he's saying. Like I sometimes also struggle with Wes, especially with his earlier work.
Mm.
Lately, like whether it's Asteroid City, Phoenician Scheme, like I really enjoy those. But
Yeah.
there's always for both, there was always something that stopped me just talking purely rating to give it a full 5 out of 5, maybe on a
Hmm.
rewatch. But with Isle of Dogs, I'm like that just hits me in the sweet spot where like the music, the animation, the
Hmm.
quirkiness, the voice talent, everything lined up, and the story was so sweet. I
Hmm.
didn't catch it in the cinemas. I caught it
Yep.
at home after, a long time after. But I'm so happy I did, and I think it's on my shelf as well as a Blu-ray. Like I cannot wait to rewatch it because that's
Hmm.
genuinely for me probably like top three of his movies. And you know,
Yep.
he's made some great movies. Like, but
Yeah.
I Love Dogs, it's such a pure movie, but still manages to keep the essence of Wes Anderson. And, that essence is you either fuck with it or not. And,
Hmm.
yeah, I definitely do. And to your point about Phoenician Scheme, that's a that's the most Wes Anderson movie I've ever seen. Like
Hmm.
I feel like he almost set himself as a challenge. Like, hey, can I top myself? Can I
Yep.
literally top my? And he did.
And yeah, I was the literally like the up with the scene in Sinners, the main scene in Sinners, some of the stuff at the Bowen Temple,
Hmm.
th those kind of like just really introspective, insightful moments, like scenes of the year conversation, is the basketball scene. I like just
Yeah.
it's a completely nonsensical, but I was absolutely obsessed, so invested. Just goofy, just so goofy but intelligent. Um,
Hmm.
Great time, really great time, well
Yeah.
done.
Also, Jack, can I offer you a hand grenade?
Yes, you can. Yeah, every time
Yeah, every
that one got
time.
me.
Yes.
And what was it? He said, I personally feel quite safe, or like whatever.
Yes.
Like, he just kept like it's so funny. It just yeah,
That
the
Like they were
great bits.
carrying the hand grenade box with them all
Hmm.
the time. Like that
Hmm.
always got me. I was like, oh, it's coming back. Oh, it's a running joke. I love it. Like
Yep.
every single fucking scene. Look, it happens. It's like
Yep.
in Arrested Development. It's like the Gene Parmesan. Like it pops up like with the
Yep.
ridiculous. I was like, oh, Gene.
Yep.
It's like that same energy, and I loved it. But yeah, I Love Dogs. Also, great pick. Great pick.
Yep.
I know you mentioned you're not really a TV show person as
Yep.
much, but is there a TV show you would still want to shout out as being underrated?
I do, and it's tough. Like I do think that you ultimately like end up straddling a line with a lot of these takes. Like, is Isle of Dogs underrated or underseen or just like kind of forgotten? Like it kind of depends. So this one, I think, the people who watch it highly rate it. I would
Mm-hmm.
consider it more underseen,
Mm-hmm.
but just worth shouting out nonetheless. Um, is a show called Over the Garden Wall.
Mm.
Either like some people are like, yeah, I watch that 3 times a year, specifically in the fall, and some people have never heard of that because there is kind of a bit of a barrier to entry for it. So it is a Cartoon Network original series, so
Mm.
animated show. Definitely, technically a kids show. That is about two brothers who get lost in the woods on Halloween. Um, there are some light, like horror almost elements to it. Definitely some spooky stuff. Very like when I think of quintessential fall media or the thing that I will have to watch whenever we're getting close to Halloween, it is this. Like I will watch this 10 times before I even get to the second on my list because it just explains it brings a feeling to the screen that I don't think you can just communicate with words.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's not lost on me that I'm talking about a kids TV show. Like I'm not really the type of person who thinks like who kind of goes out of my way to justify the existence of like kids shows or like find like watch a lot of them. Like this is just one that popped up on my radar. I didn't even watch it as a kid. I watched it for the first time in college. It's 10, like maybe 10 episodes. Each episode's like maybe 12 minutes. So at the end of the day, you can watch it as a movie,
Mm-hmm.
with just like episodic feel to it. It's emotional. It's hilarious. Um, well acted. Is Elijah Wood is kind of the main guy you'd know. He's the main voice there. Yeah, if you like genuinely, if you are one of those people who just loves Halloween and loves fall,
Mm-hmm.
and you have not seen this, I guarantee you that this will become a new regular rewatch. It just is that kind of thing.
So I I have never seen it. I think
Mm.
I might have heard of it someplace because that name sounds familiar. So
Yep.
I looked it up and it's got 8.7 on IMDb, which is quite high. So I'm like,
That's
all
yeah, not
right.
underrated, but there's just not many people
Yeah,
who
yeah.
have seen it. And I
Yes.
think also when you talk about underrated, like a part of it that I consider is like 8.7, but like you might look at this and just assume like, oh, it's a kids show,
Mm-hmm.
which is like another thing that might lead to it being not underrated, but like people like less respect almost for it,
Or overlooked almost. Yeah.
overlooked. It's like just anything like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it more than earns the 8.7.
Mm-hmm.
There are some 10-minute episodes that are just like airtight, beautiful storytelling, and like the brotherhood dynamic is heart-wrenching. Specifically the last few episodes of the show really in like kind of like soul Pixar kind of way pushes what kind of emotions you might expect to be expressed in a kids movie, kids show. Um, and yeah, and I think it really, really pays off. I think kids love
Mm-hmm.
this. The ones that I know that have seen it, and I think it just has a lots of broad appeal. Highly recommend.
Okay, definitely on my watch list it goes because it seems like again 10, 11 episodes like like a 20-minute episode or definitely
It
like easy
brisk,
yeah
yeah.
easy brisk and that rating like Elijah Wood there are some other like famous
Mm,
people like voice so I'm like I'm
yep,
always down with like animation. I'm always down with that because that you never know it like it surprises you in many ways.
yep,
Even these quote unquote kids shows are many
yep,
times more deeper and meaningful than
yep,
again they are often overlooked. So
yep,
yeah.
absolutely. Yep.
So, Jack, this has been a blast. Thank you
Mhm.
so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
I had a blast. Before we say goodbye, because I asked you so many questions and you were kind and patient enough to answer all of them. Before we say goodbye, do you have a question or two for me?
Yeah. Let's see. What should I go with here? What I'm trying to think. What do you sit with me on the kind of metaphorical horror genre? Like do
Hmm.
you understand what I mean by that?
Yes.
How do you feel about those kinds of movies? I feel like they're very trendy.
Hmm.
And like it kind of depends. Like sometimes the metaphor is the entire movie to the point where there's not really like a story. Like I think I saw the TV Glow. I think After Sun is not horror, but like is the same like metaphor like kind of movie. How do you feel about a movie that is more an experience than it is like a traditional narrative? And I think After Sun would be a good example of that for me.
Well, I loved After Sun, so I think that goes my answer. So basically, again, like I think that goes back to what we discussed with the rating and how I view movies and how I rate them. So for me, I don't even think of it as, oh, that is this a good narrative? Is this not, or something? For me, I've learned to think about it like this. Does this movie make me feel something? Or does this movie, what it sets out to do, does it accomplish it? Like
Hmm.
for example, you know, that mindset opened up mainly the Asian cinema to me. Because like
Yeah.
especially like, Japanese cinema, Korean cinema, they are very different movies. So like when I started back 20 years ago when I was a dumb teenager, I was like, why is this so fucking like why is everybody so overreacting?
Yeah.
Why is this happening? Like I don't
Uh-huh.
like it. I don't get it. And then like as I grew older and as I hopefully grew wiser, realized, wait. You need to take every movie based on what it's trying to do, and you need to judge it based on its own merits, right?
Yeah.
And that opened up a lot of things where like I've watched many like not just Asian but like many foreign movies, like French movies, Italian movies, and I'm like,
Hmm.
so this is not gonna be a traditional narrative. Okay, we're gonna be this. Okay, this is gonna be this kind of like a movie where it's just mostly feelings, not really like character driven rather than like narrative driven. Okay, cool. And then if it succeeds, if it's then like if the movie finishes and I can say, oh, this is this has been about this great journey between, I don't know, father and son or mother and daughter or whatever, right? And it was like, used as this some sort of metaphor for like in this horror setting or in this comedy setting or in this like whatever setting.
Hmm.
I always down for that. Like I don't think I have a preference per se. I think, good movie in my eyes is a good movie, no matter if it's After Sun or whether it's Avengers Endgame. Like, like
Yeah.
no matter if it's like traditional quote unquote movie or whether it's something like, oh yeah, this is a bunch of almost found footage videos,
Yeah.
but what they form, what those pieces of this one holiday forms will stick with you to the point where you can never hear the song Under Pressure and not think of
Yep.
this movie again and being
Hmm.
emotionally fucking destroyed.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I think it almost like resonates with like what I said about the comic books. It's like
Hmm.
I don't know, as I've become like over the past few years, I've like spoken to more people who are like into movies like that. Like I'm always shocked at the amount of people who are so like resistant to like unconventional storytelling or like things like breaking the mold or mixing like
Hmm.
so strict about following rules.
Hmm.
Like I think a an interesting example is something like Across the Spider-Verse,
Oh.
where it's like the sure there are like different things, but at a certain point, like I think people can be a little bit too caught up in like making sure that it checks certain boxes when like the people aren't even like trying to do that. Like
Hmm.
I saw the TV Glow, I think is a great example. Like
I
I
still
don't think
haven't
it's
seen that one, by the way. I
yeah.
haven't, but I heard good, like I heard mixed things about it, but I
Yeah.
heard from more people, from more movie people, that it's a great movie. I know the overall rating of the movie is
Yep.
like middling, but I know
Yep.
many people absolutely adore it.
Yeah, I mean it's completely almost like it's just almost antithetical to like what you would expect of a movie to be like
Hmm.
and I think I really appreciate things that are willing to really challenge
Hmm.
that like it just like what is a movie aside from like a long video and whatever ends up being on screen like it's gonna work or it's not gonna work but like I like I don't think you should think less of the creator or the enjoyers of the movie if like just because it doesn't fit like a traditional narrative structure or like
Hmm.
check certain boxes or anything like that or like I don't think it like think of like the Martin Scorsese thing that became such a drama for no reason where he said like comic book movies are like roller coasters or whatever. It's like
Hmm.
I think you can just easier like more simply put say like there are things that you can do in a comic book movie that you can't really do anywhere else and like that doesn't prohibit it from being great or for being excellent. There are you have to have a different mindset a lot of the times. Like it gets to the point where it's like you just have to completely like just change what you're expecting.
Hmm.
It's totally fine if they like if it doesn't work for you, but like just calling certain movies cameo fests can be like I just think of like No Way Home and like I'm so biased. It's not lost
Hmm.
on me. Like
Hmm.
Spider-Man is a character that it like feels like family to me. And so that movie was like literally just designed for me. And I still like, yeah, like I saw like it was just pulling other characters, and sure, some of it didn't make sense, but like the it's still like narratively and thematically, it like ended up meaning a lot to me. And like there's meaning outside of the film that allowed it to be special to me.
Hmm.
And so I just think it can end up being cynical when you solely reduce it to like fan service or they're like trying to get butts in seats. Like,
Yeah.
um, I think when you had the director and when you had the like Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland, and Andrew Garfield sit down and make that movie, I don't think they had dollar signs in their hearts. I think they had a tremendous amount of appreciation and care for that character and for that fan base.
Hmm.
And I think it shows. You know, it's just not for everybody.
Again, I would hope so. I would hope you're right. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like genuinely, like I think it touches on something we've talked about before. nowadays, because of the internet and because of things like Letterboxd,
Hmm.
anybody can express their movie opinions.
Yeah.
And many times, I feel like we are so caught up in analyzing everything
Hmm.
where, we stop enjoying the movies. And I've
I
noticed that with certain
hmm
people, even from our sift of circles, but I'm not gonna
Yeah.
name any names.
Hmm.
But I've noticed that with certain people, like, it seems like, your enjoyment of the movie, and I'm not talking about you, your enjoyment, but like,
Hmm.
that person, like
Yeah.
those people,
Yeah.
like, you are your own worst enemy in a way because you're trying
Yeah.
to like dissect it as if it was just a frog lying in
Yeah.
front of you. But it's
Hmm.
not. It's an art. It's a, we often forget, movies are the most accessible form of art besides maybe like songs and like, music because
Hmm.
nowadays you can stream it. You can like it's so accessible.
Yeah.
But but sometimes you can just miss the forest, what is it? Miss the forest for the trees?
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
if you don't let a movie take you on a journey it wants to take you, and if you would
Hmm.
rather criticize it for, well, it didn't do this, it didn't do this, it didn't do this, it didn't do
Yeah.
that. I mean, yeah, but it didn't set out to do those things, did it?
Yeah.
I've always struggled with sometimes, like, listening to people talk about certain movies, and I'm like, but what? But okay, but I don't think that movie was trying to do that. So,
Hmm.
so yeah.
Yeah, dude. And it makes me think, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but weapons is kind of the
Not yet.
big yeah, it's the big talking point
Hmm.
in movies. And it's very much like I mentioned, those like the it reminds you of Jordan Peele, kind of like I think he even wanted the movie or something like that for his studio, but like
Yes, he was
you
pissed that apparently he
yeah.
was pissed that he missed out on a bidding war for that script to the
Hmm.
point where maybe not because of this, maybe because of
Hmm.
this, he let go of his agent
Yeah, that's crazy.
shortly after.
And I like I had a similar thought to you when I went and saw that movie. Like, I really, really care about the message of movies. Like, that's why I enjoy movies most of the time. And so when I see these movies that, like, on the surface, it seems like the director is just handing you clues to a deeper theme. Like, I can really, really get lost, like, thinking about and over analyzing every single piece of the movie to the point where, like, I forget that story, like, part of it is just a story and part of it is like just supposed to be like a means to an end. And also, like, that I've really tried to consider that more than the meaning, like what the director is trying to say
Hmm.
is great, but for me, like, at this point, I shouldn't be trying to figure out what they're trying to say. I should be trying to figure out like what the movie means to me.
Hmm.
Because I saw some interviews with him, with the director, where he was like, yeah, like a lot of people think it's this, but I did it with this in mind. And like, I wouldn't even say, like, he said it's not like a political commentary. It's a very personal movie to me.
Hmm.
And it's like, it's just really interesting how, like, just images like that, like, you can really turn it to make it mean whatever you want it to mean.
Hmm.
And you can argue that, and, those conversations are so, like, it genuinely, like, reminded me why I like movies. Is just hearing like somebody talk about a movie they loved and like them showing me things I didn't see about it, or showing other people like why I cared about a movie and why it had like that level of connection with me, is so fun. And I think Weapons is a great example of this because I do think like people who see it like myself are going to be really sitting there and trying to connect all of the pieces, but I don't think it necessarily has one meaning. I think it can mean many different things, and I
Hmm.
think, even just from character to character, you're going to get a different message there.
Hmm.
But what I ended up coming out of the theater with ultimately is all that matters for me. And why I'm able to kind of hold it in esteem is because it meant something to me. So,
And it's the thing, like every movie ultimately will or will not be somewhat personal to you, right?
mhm,
And I think like I hear a lot of the great ones, great directors talking about how one of the hardest things about making a movie is once it's out, once it has this premiere, it's out there, it's no longer your movie.
mhm,
It's now everyone's movie. Meaning not everybody, that doesn't mean everybody's gonna pirate it. It's
yeah,
more about 100 people will see it, and 100 people will, interpret this story differently. So like there genuinely can be like a, movie where you and I see the same movie, and
Yep.
and you interpret the like weapons. I haven't seen it yet, but I
Yep.
heard great things. And you
Hmm.
interpret it like, oh, that means A, B, C, D. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? No, no, no. It means, PQRST. No, like, what do
If
you mean? Like,
you
and it's just
if
like, that.
Yeah. If you go and listen to other podcasts we've been on together, we have had conversations like that. Like,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I do remember having like a handful of conversations and where you and I interpreted entirely. Was it? Did we talk about the woman in the yard together? Was that
No,
or
no, that wasn't
we
me.
speak no evil? Maybe.
Speak no evil, yes.
Yeah, I think that one might have been one of the like there were just a handful. I remember talking to you and we very
Yes.
much were like that. And it dude, and it honestly it makes me think of what I was just talking about with the gaming thing. It's
Mm-hmm,
like there's also an element of like hyper fixating on like solving movies too, like the culture of going home and Googling like a or like YouTubing like what like ending explained type thing. And
mm-hmm,
don't get me wrong, like there are moments where I enjoy those types of media. But you definitely got to make sure that you understand that those are not the end all be all. Like that is ultimately a dude who has seen the movie you have seen, and are filling in the gaps with their own biases. So like
mm-hmm,
I do like I love a handful of like those film YouTubers who take a minute and like really like find the meaning in art, but it's you gotta remember that it's personal and like you're not finding the answer, you're finding an answer.
mm-hmm. See, this is maybe like in this specific scenario or case, I'm a bit of a weird one, I guess,
Mm,
because like if I see a movie and I don't know exactly what to make of it, you know, I usually don't ever Google that. Like,
mm.
I know there's many ending explained, right?
Oh
Articles,
yeah.
videos, whatever. But I don't usually do that. And the main reason is I usually just, read IMDb trivia
Mm,
and think about the movie.
mm,
That's all I do because like I don't like at the end of the day, I want to be not influenced by anybody else.
yep.
Like I like to see what other people think of the movie, right?
Mm,
But I always like to, if I crack the movie or not, ultimately it'll be on me in a way where I don't want to just, parrot, oh, hey, I've read this based on this person, therefore,
yep.
like now I'll take it as mine. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to
Definitely. Yeah.
explain because I know these they are popular, and I've definitely seen my fair
Mm,
share of like ending. Like the YouTube,
yeah.
recommends me ending of this
Uh,
movie explained. Ending of this, I was like, no, I don't
yep.
need that. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
So like, but yeah, like to go back to your original question, like I don't think I have a preference per se. I just think if the movie delivers what it set out to do, whether it's a scary movie, whether it's a Shawshank Redemption, whether it's
Mm,
David Lynch movie, as long
yeah.
as that sets out, that will at the when the credits start to roll, I feel like I've been on a journey and I've been part of something. I usually tend to rate those movies higher. And those that fail that, in my eyes, I tend to, usually be like, "Ah, okay, that wasn't for me." But
Yeah.
even that, I try to avoid saying this movie is bad. I
Yeah.
try to say this wasn't my taste.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah. I think that's definitely important too.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah, you can quickly. I think a lot of people when they first really get into watching movies, they um that innate want to be the smartest person in the room kind of takes over,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh, you didn't like The Godfather?"
Well,
And
let
so
me tell
like
you why you're
yeah,
wrong.
yeah, exactly. And you really like I think there is like just a very natural evolution to like the movie bro thing that's taken over. 'Cause yeah, we've all been there. And now it's like now you get to that point where you're like, "Dang, I have been wanting to find somebody who can explain to me what I missed about this movie I did not like."
Hmm,
And
hmm.
that's so much more fun, so much more
Yes.
meaningful. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. No, 100%. 100%.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Nah, man, I think that was the big one. It's the big thing on my mind.
All good. All right. So yet again, thank you so much for your time, Jack. I do
Yes, of course.
appreciate you. If people also enjoy their time, what's the best place for them, for anybody, to follow you?
Yeah, main thing I always promote is Sif Pop. Like if I'm doing
Hmm,
anything creatively. I tend to do my Sif Pop reviews, so I do one or two of those a month. I movies, TV shows, games, just whatever
Hmm.
Robert throws at me. I'm not too picky. And then also, yeah, I do update Letterbox semi regularly. Jack underscore Grimme or just Jack Grimme. I think it'll pop up.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm not the type of guy who writes like a big review. Like I just kind of put some thoughts down and more for me to refer back to. So if you want to get my thoughts or look for Sif Pop podcasts, look for my appearances there or my reviews, which I'm
Hmm.
technically proud of.
Nice. No, yeah, those links will be down there so people can just click on them and follow you. So once again, thank you so much for your time. For me, as always, in Movies Lost on Letterboxd or here every other Friday. And this podcast is part of SPDM Crew Media. Special thanks goes to HiFlyer Creative for designing my logo. And to see what else they have happening, visit hiflyercreative.com. And until next time, bye bye.